La-di-da-di-da. Yo, what's good, Forrest? That was a good stretch. That was a great stretch. Oh my god. I needed that. Sorry. How's it going? I'm not dying. I'm stretching. Ah. How could you not understand? When you hit that perfect stretch, it just hits different. How's it been going? Been doing all right? Don't worry about the noise going on. I'm putting on lotion. Gotta keep skin moisturized. Ooh, excuse me. It would be cool if I could like control the volume. I don't want to read that out. Alright. Fixing up a few things, but we're gonna watch a little bit of Pay. Just a little bit. Because I had gotten cut off yesterday. I'm gonna get everything set up still. Oh, really just my phone. Get my phone. Go to my phone.
It's 1 o'clock in the morning on a work night, and the last of the bar hoppers and club goers have long since turned in. At the end of the street, the last bar is finally closing down for the night. Or it would, except that the bartender is having trouble getting rid of a customer. Sitting at the bar, an old derelict is demanding yet another drink. The bartender grumbles in annoyance. This derelict is sloppy drunk, and the bartender just wants to go home. Closing time, growls the bartender. Just one more, protests the derelict, shaking his empty glass for emphasis. I've got money. He laughs at his own words, his giggles ending with a loud belch that blows a cloud of aromatic vapor into the bartender's face. That's it. This derelict has been hanging out at this bar causing trouble all night, and the bartender has had enough. Get out of here, says the bartender as he hustles the wobbling derelict out the door. You're done. The derelict creaks and totters as he stumbles out into the street. The night's festivities are really hitting him. It isn't so often that he's got the money to burn, but when he does, he likes to spend it here. The prices are right, and the conversation is minimal, which is just the way that he likes it. The derelict turns around, fire in his eyes. He's raring to fight, and he doesn't care that the bartender is quite a bit larger than he is. Right now, all he can see is red. "Don't tell me when I've had enough," he slurs, raising his fists as he prepares to lash out. But the bartender has already slammed the door in his face. Defeated, the derelict turns his back on the closed bar and starts a slow stumble down the street. "Stupid bartender," mutters the derelict, turning up his collar against the cold bite of the night air. He wishes that he just had one more drink to warm his stomach against the chill. He's so out of it that he doesn't stop to think that the bartender did him a favor by refusing to fight. There is no way that the derelict would have won that battle. Even if he was in his physical prime, even if the bartender wasn't twice his size, the derelict is in no shape to fight. His vision is blurry and his head is swimming. In fact, he can barely remain upright. If he had any sense, he would probably stumble home and sleep this off. But the night is young, and he's not ready to give up yet. He walks down the street, eyeing every storefront in hopes of finding another bar. Unfortunately, every window has a closed sign in it. He swears under his breath. What a run of bad luck. What's a guy supposed to do?
What SCP is this?
SCP-420 aggressive skin condition?
In this town, he wonders. Just when he's about to give up hope, he spies something glinting in the reflective halo of a street lamp. He stumbles closer to get a better look, and he can hardly believe his eyes.
Shit,
Finally,
it's a
his
bottle
luck
of
is changing.
Henny.
Someone has abandoned a half-empty bottle.
Said,
"Well, hello there, old friend," says the derelict.
Fire
He
Hannah's.
struggles to focus, but the world is
what's
spinning.
good,
In his
fire?
confusion, he
Hello,
swears
hello,
he's seeing
Juliet.
things. But no,
Fawn
he can feel the
NF.
heft of the glass bottle in his hand,
Said,
and he knows that it is as real as
alcohol.
he is. Who left you
Fawn
behind?
NF.
Who would leave a perfectly
Said,
good bottle just sitting out here?
Alcohol.
He recognizes this
Fawn
brand.
NF.
There's only about 3 fingers of liquid
Said,
left. That's
Okay,
better than
Fawn.
nothing.
A lock.
Some people might balk at drinking
All right,
off a
that's
random
enough
bottle that he
slices.
found on the
That's
street,
enough
but the
slices.
derelict doesn't give it a second thought. He tips the bottle back and slurps it all down. The burns
Fawn
going down,
NF.
just
Say
as it
something to
should,
the
he
rest of
thinks.
us.
Said,
He sighs in contentment as
Yeah.
he feels the harsh liquid warm his stomach.
Ooh,
Perfect.
okay, never mind.
That
You can
really
keep
hit
that
the
shit.
spot.
You know, honestly, I don't
But
even
what
know where
happens
your lips
next
have been.
surprises him so much that he can't believe his eyes. There's still liquid in the bottle. He blinks, wondering if maybe his adult brain is playing tricks on him. But he shakes the bottle cautiously and is rewarded with the telltale
Fawn
swish of
NF.
liquid. That's
Said,
no illusion. He takes another
I had my
swig,
second
guzzling it
fave
down.
food ever TD.
Normally, he'd drop the
Oh,
bottle to the
hell
ground
yeah.
and stumble on, but something makes him pause. He maintains his grip on the bottleneck and raises it again to take another
What'd
look.
you have?
And sure enough, there's still more left in the bottle. The derelict cannot believe his luck.
Well, we got an infinite.
He feels like he must have
Fawn
won the
NF.
lottery. He's found a never-ending
Said,
bottle. Already his mind is reeling
Tuna
with
pasta
possibilities. That bartender really thinks he's so smart, he mutters to himself as he weaves
Tuna's
unsteadily.
not terrible. I'm
I
not
don't need him anymore.
too big of a fan
See
of
if I
it.
ever go to this
but
stupid
pasta,
bar again.
salad,
He just lost his best
amazing.
customer. Now that I have you, little bottle, I don't ever need to pay for drinks
Not
ever
about
again.
Pasta salad.
It's the best day of my life, crows the derelict, raising his arms in
Oh
triumph.
yeah.
He's barely able to stagger back to his home, a seedy apartment on the bad side of town,
Well,
before
let's see
he
what the
passes
fuck
out on the
this
floor.
does.
The morning sun rouses the slumbering derelict, and he rises with
Fawn
a groan.
NF.
His whole body aches,
Said,
and his mouth feels dry
I
and
love it.
parched. That's par for the course after a night of
Fawn
drinking. But
NF.
somehow this hangover feels
Said,
different. He puts that thought out
Row
of his
the boys
mind as
acting
his mind
hilarious.
returns to the
I'm
strange,
saying.
never-empty bottle that he discovered the night before. It's
Yeah,
lying on
I'm
its
a-
side on the floor
I can't
next to
use
him.
this one
He
anymore.
reaches
It's
for the
honestly
mysterious
getting really
bottle, only to find that, in fact, the previous night was not a dream. The bottle still contains just as much as it did the night before. He can't explain it, but the derelict isn't about to question his good fortune. He lifts himself to his feet and walks slowly into the bathroom. He's feeling a hangover like he's never felt before. His head is pounding and his throat is dry. His tongue feels swollen and sluggish
Damn,
inside his mouth,
damn.
but he knows how to handle it.
Oh,
A little
yeah.
hair of the dog is all you need to help with the hangover.
Mm-hmm.
He takes another gulp from his bottle, but this
Oh my
time it
God.
brings little relief. And he notices something else strange too. It's his scalp. The skin on his head has started to itch, and he can't stop scratching.
shit.
He feels like he's got the world's worst dandruff problem. He should probably take a shower, he thinks. He strips down and steps into the tub, turning the hot water on full blast and letting it wash over him. The shower only brings him temporary relief. Afterward, as he dries himself off, the towels feel rough and abrasive against his skin.
Oh.
His skin comes off in big flaky patches, and his nails leave red trails in their wake. What's that? Is that blood? He examines his fingers to see that his nails have grown into ragged claw-like talons.
What
With
the
a frightened
fuck?
yelp, he bites them off. It's easy to do. Although they look formidable, his fingernails are weak and brittle, almost as if he's dealing with a sudden calcium deficiency.
Oh my
What could be
god.
wrong with him? He remembers all the warnings he heard back in school when they used to march everyone into assembly to listen to lectures from the local police. At the time, he scoffed at the long lists of scary-sounding consequences of a lifetime of drinking, but now, he's not so sure. It's probably nothing, he says as he examines himself in the bathroom mirror. His skin looks blotchy and
Probably
infected.
nothing.
It doesn't take long before his hair and nails are
Oh
out
my
of control.
God.
His hair grows down to his shoulders, but comes out in big, ragged clumps if he runs his fingers through it.
Okay.
His claw-like fingernails are constantly breaking and cracking until his fingertips are bloody, and his quick is itchy and infected. If his habits had left him looking worse for wear before, he really
Stop
looks
itching.
awful now.
Oh.
For the next week, he barely leaves the apartment. He pulls the curtains and keeps the lights off, afraid that someone
give
might
me a
see him.
moment.
When the landlord bangs on the door, shouting that rent is late and demanding that the derelict hand over the money, he doesn't answer. He waits. The landlord gives up for now. That's good, thinks the derelict. It will give him time to think, time to figure out what to do about his disease. He knows that something is not right. Many of the local bartenders are, by now, probably wondering where he's gone. It's not like the derelict to stay away. He's practically kept the bar industry in this town afloat all by himself. It must be something major indeed to keep him away from his favorite poison. Luckily, he still has the bottomless bottle to comfort him during this trying time. The derelict is certain that he's caught some bad bug, but he thinks that he can wait it out. All he needs to do is make it through the next week, and everything will be fine.
Oh my god.
Sipping free drinks helps him to pass the time in a pleasant stupor as he waits for his health to return. Unfortunately, things are only
That is
going
just
to get
gonna
worse for him.
Yeah.
His hair and fingernails keep growing, to the point that he has trouble lifting the bottle without his twisted nails getting in the way. His dry, flaky skin is changing as well, becoming thick and leathery and hanging off him in great folds like the hide of an elephant or a rhinoceros. His skin continues to grow until the folds flop over his knees and gradually hang lower
Oh my
and
God,
lower
he's
until they
becoming
touch
a
the
blob.
ground. Moving is harder now that he's carrying so much extra weight. He thought at first he just had a nasty bug, but he's clearly picked up some weird skin condition, and even this derelict, sodded as he might be, suspects exactly where he got it. It's got to be that crazy bottomless bottle.
Oh, now
He
you
can't
notice
think
it's
of
that
another
bottle?
reason. Even so, he can't bring himself to part with this little gift from heaven.
Oh, yeah, I
Even
mean,
in his
shit.
darkest hour,
At this
a
point,
few
you
sips
might
of
as
liquid
well.
courage always helps to calm his nerves.
Might as well
He
down that
considers
bitch all
lumbering
the
down
way.
to the free clinic in hopes that they might be able to cure him or at least tell him what's wrong with his skin. But he thinks better of this option. What if he's got some weird alien parasite that no one has ever seen before? They might lock him away in some government lab or something.
Oh my god.
No, he reasons, it's better to wait it out. He'll sleep it off, swear off the sauce for a little while, and maybe it'll pass. In desperation, the derelict drags himself across the floor, hoping to at least find some solace away from human contact. He locks himself into his bedroom while he's still able to manipulate the lock on his door. The extra folds of skin are
Oh my
hanging off of
God.
his hands and arms, making it hard to do anything. The extra skin is so heavy that he can't walk much, carrying all that extra weight. He lies on the floor of his bedroom,
Yeah,
away from
but-
everything,
yeah,
and hopes that
I-
tomorrow, when
oh,
he wakes
hell
up,
no.
this will
That-
just be a
that's-
fading dream.
Fuck that. It will not
The only thing that
fucking
brings him
pass.
solace is the never-ending bottle,
Absolutely
which
not.
even now in his advanced state of decay, he keeps close by him. After all, he
That is
reasons, the
permanent.
damage is already done. What could possibly be the harm in enjoying a nice drink? A week later, his condition has not passed. The landlord is back, and this time he's not taking no for an answer. The landlord isn't supposed to enter his tenant's apartment without permission, but he doesn't care. He uses his own key to unlock the door and go inside. The condition of the apartment is appalling. The furniture is broken, the floor is covered with unidentifiable filth, and there's a rotten stench in the air. The
Yeah,
landlord
but you
wants
know,
to
a
throw
homeless
up as
drunk
the
man
full
ain't
weight of
gonna
the
really
musty
think
smell
about. Well,
hits
not
him
really
in the
homeless,
face.
but like
It's
you
as
know,
if someone has been living in here without any
you know,
ventilation,
just like
with
a-
all the windows firmly
just like a
closed and
drunk
sealed.
dude.
A sudden
Just
noise from the
alcoholic, you ain't
bathroom
gonna
draws
fucking
his
think about
attention.
that.
Of
Especially
course,
when
thinks
he's
the
out
landlord.
drunk as
That
well.
old bum
Think
is
about,
hiding in there. He
bottomless
thinks I won't
liquor?
find him. The landlord steals his
God
resolve and
must be
heads
on my
towards the
side
bathroom,
tonight.
determined to
Like,
get the money that he feels
you
is
know,
owed to him.
Niggas ain't gonna be
What
really
greets
thinking
him when
about
he
it like
steps through the
that.
door isn't the derelict
Oh
anymore.
shit, an
It isn't even
anomaly.
human. The creature in the
what I'm saying?
bathroom is a massive pile of ambulatory skin folds. The skin flaps have grown so large and
Because you
cumbersome
have that
the derelict
self-awareness.
within can barely move.
But
they sprout all over
other-
his body,
oh
covering
my
him so that he looks
God.
more like some kind of alien sea
But other
cucumber now
people
than any
don't.
human. The landlord stumbles backwards, screaming in terror at the sight, unable to comprehend what he's looking at. Improbably, the creature reacts to the noise, and a ripple of movement spreads across its surface. It starts to move, despite not having any legs.
Oh no.
The landlord is so terrified that he doesn't notice the glass bottle that suddenly drops from between the creature's skin folds as it starts to move toward him. The same bottle, still with 3 fingers of liquid inside. How could something like this happen? What parasite or disease did the derelict contract from the miracle bottle he found? Sadly, this never-ending bottle isn't a boon, but a curse, and the man who found it that night became just another victim of what the SCP Foundation has classified as SCP-420. SCP-420 looks like a perfectly ordinary bottle of a certain popular libation, even to the point that it bears the label of a common brand.
Right?
The bottle always contains a small amount of a mysterious liquid known as SCP-420-1. If this liquid is poured out, SCP-420 will always replenish itself. When SCP-420-1 is potent, it is physically, chemically, and molecularly indistinguishable from ordinary whiskey, although drinking will have an effect far greater than even the strongest liquor.
Oh, wow.
When SCP-420-1 is poured out of SCP-420, though, it undergoes a strange transformation, eventually losing its potency and changing until it is indistinguishable physically, chemically, or molecularly from urine.
What?
Consuming potent SCP-420-1
God.
instigates a bizarre physical transformation called SCP-420-2.
Yeah, I'd
in 6
say
stages.
420. Like, come
In
on,
stage
why I
1,
gotta do my
beginning
banyan
12
like
hours
that,
after
man?
consumption,
Why I gotta do
the
my
subject will
banyan?
start to have difficulty
banyan.
speaking, resulting in slurred
My
speech that
banyan
is not
day.
consistent with normal alcohol inebriation. Their fingernails, toenails, and hair will start to grow at an accelerated rate, but also become brittle and prone to breakage. Nail breakage to the quick often leads to bleeding and infection. The Foundation has had some success in curing SCP-420-2 if it is caught when still in Stage 1, treating it as if it is an aggressive form of cancer with radiation and chemotherapy, as well as a constant intravenous supply of Formula 420A09T-T174B. Victims thus treated have a 73% recovery rate, but a 21% fatality rate. From Phase 2 onward, this protocol can slow the spread of SCP-420-2, but will not stop it entirely. In Stage 2, beginning 1 to 2 weeks after Stage 1, the subject's skin begins to show similar properties to those exhibited by hair and fingernails in Stage 1, becoming dry, brittle, and prone to cracking. As old skin flakes off, the subject's new skin begins to...
If y'all watch Naruto, why my niggas look like a damn, like, whenever reanimation or like reanimated motherfucker got fucked up. After this, Hana, I will put it on the server for you. I got you. Don't worry. You will be able to play on the server after this.
Grow at an accelerated rate, eventually forming thick, leathery folds all over the subject's body. Skin flaps growing inside the mouth interfere with speech and eventually render subjects mute, but do not appear to impede breathing or eating. Indeed, subjects in Stage 2 exhibit a renewed interest in eating, possibly because the subject's body requires additional nutrients and calories to build the increasingly heavy armor of thickened, calloused skin. Stage 2 subjects will eat anything that they can get their hands on, and many die after attempting to eat poisonous or inedible objects. In Stage 3, beginning 3 to 6 weeks after Stage 2, or inedible objects will eat and build the increasingly heavy armor of thickened, calloused skin. Stage 2 subjects will eat anything that they can get their hands on, and many die after attempting to eat poisonous or inedible objects. In Stage 3, beginning 3 to 6 weeks after Stage 2, nerves in the skin layer grow uncontrollably, but no longer connect to the victim's central nervous system. Genetic testing of the skin in this stage reveals that its DNA has become so mutated that it can no longer be classified as human.
Oh, wow.
It is, in fact, a separate and very inhuman organism that almost acts as a parasite growing from the human host. The skin may develop tumor-like growths, which appear to be analogous to human muscle and secretory cells. Hair and fingernails sprout randomly from the mass of skin. By Stage 4, beginning 3 to 7 days after Stage 3, the skin has become a mass of thick, leathery folds, completely covering the human host to the point that they disappear completely. The skin begins to exhibit random twitching movements, as though it is indeed a living organism finally coming into its own as a life form and testing out its new body. The human subject within the skin continues to eat, although brain scans reveal that they are no longer in control of their mouth. Instead, the skin entity forces the mouth to move by moving the attached skin, Small holes begin to form in the skin, eventually growing into narrow tunnels or throats that lead back to the now trapped body of the helpless subject.
Oh my god.
The subject is still consumed with a ravenous hunger and will eat anything that they can get in their mouth. In stage 5, beginning 1 to 2 days after stage 4, the skin begins to move in patterns indicating rudimentary intelligence. The skin, although still attached to the original subject, is now completely and distinctly non-human. It is its own organism. It can move of its own accord, dragging the trapped host along for the ride, and it moves and feeds much in the manner of an extremely large amoeba.
I'll say
It feeds by excreting a
female-wise,
digestive enzyme onto foodstuffs and then enveloping the nutrients with its skin folds, again like an amoeba surrounding its food. The food is taken into the throats. These tunnels connecting the outside of the skin to the now completely subsumed host are now directly connected to the host's circulatory system and function as additional mouths. They can consume nutrients which are moved down their length by bristly hairs and further broken down by grinding keratinous plates before being taken into the host's body. Most hosts will remain in Stage 5 indefinitely, although there still remains a much more dangerous Stage 6 yet to come. At this time, it's unknown what factor triggers SCP-420-2 to develop into Stage 6. Little information about Stage 6 is available at this time, although it is known that it involves even more accelerated skin and keratin growth, resulting in a sudden increase in size and mass. Perhaps the most terrifying part of the entire transformation is that the host remains alive for the duration of the process, and sometimes even after SCP-420-2 has settled comfortably into its new life at Stage 5. Mercifully, most hosts will have completely succumbed to insanity by this point, although some are shown by brain scans to still be self-aware and quite calm, perhaps fading into a zen-like state as they accept the inevitability of their fate. SCP-420 is contained in a storage locker at an undisclosed site maintained by the Foundation, and it is only to be removed from this locker by SCP staff with Level 3 clearance or higher. It has been given the Safe class because, despite the horrifying nature of its effects, at least it doesn't move anywhere. Samples of SCP-420-1 not in use by testing should be stored in the container marked SCP-420-1 Decon in Locker 1014-420 until they lose potency, at which time they can be disposed of as biohazardous liquid waste. Victims infected with SCP-420-2 are not contagious and should be contained in standard solitary D-Class secure confinement. On reaching Phase 3, subjects should receive double rations. Due to the extreme danger of Phase 6, any subjects who reach Phase 4 should be closely monitored for signs that the condition may be advancing further, in which case they are to be immediately destroyed by incineration. Knowing the fate that befalls victims of SCP-420 should make anyone think twice about drinking out of a random bottle that you just found in the street. Though personally, I think that's just common sense. The group of children on their bikes stare intently at the large...
Alright. Tortured Iron Soul. Okay. Give me just a second. Let me set up this server for Hana. Oh wait, why am I cheering? There we go. And now, we wait. Okay, there we go. I was like, or did it just not do it? Bye, right. My opinion knows SCP is truly evil. I mean, I feel like there can be some that are like, that have purely evil intent, you know. Definitely, there's all living that need to eat. All right. I mean, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I mean, they're anomalous creatures. I mean, shit, we don't know what the fucking... Like the mask thing. Oh, yeah. I think in the deep, dark depths of the ocean. I like that, too. Yeah. I don't even want to know what's in our fucking deepest depths of the ocean. Fuck you, me. You would never catch me down there. Mm-mm. And good luck to whoever has to. And I give them I'll give them a salute. Another thing just takes over people's bodies. Oh yeah. Kills. That's true. We watched that I think like a month ago. Mask is pretty cool. Literally just like depending on the body. Like that mask can collect all the information from that human, if I'm not mistaken. And depending on the human, the duration could either be longer, shorter, you know. I'd say a top tier athlete probably could last him a good while. Oh man. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. There are definitely some that are evil. Like I definitely get where you're coming from, but I know damn well there are some fucking SCPs that are out there. They just fucking body motherfuckers just for the pure love of the game. Crazy. Jeremy? Who the hell is Jeremy? Shy Guy is just shy. Yeah, no, literally, Shy Guy is just shy. Very, yeah, deadass, very shy. See one little pixel of that motherfucker on a fucking picture frame, you're cooked. You are literally cooked. He will bust up out of wherever he's from to come after you. There we go. I was about to say, it's taking a minute. I'll have to go on this one. On God. We just be chilling, minding our own damn business, and then got people like that.
Large abandoned house.
This is funny. We're looking at the most evil SCP anomalies.
Rumors have been circulating all school year about a monster that lives inside. One
Wait.
child tells the others.
So you telling me that beer bottle's an evil motherfucker? It's weird. Let me send you another invite. There you go.
There's about the kid from a couple towns over who went inside and never came back out. And it's easy to believe that something evil could be lurking inside the rundown home with its peeling paint and many broken windows. The children begin teasing each other, daring one another to go in and see the monster for themselves. No one seems especially eager to volunteer, though, as they all egg each other on. As the group of children joke about who should be forced to go inside, another comes riding up behind them, struggling to catch his breath. "You left me behind again," he complains. Clearly, this is not the first time that this smallest child of the group has been made to try and keep up with his bigger and faster friends. The bigger kids all turn to look at him. They don't need to discuss it any further. The answer to who must go inside has already been decided. The smaller child tries to protest, but ultimately, what decision does he have but to go inside? He can't let everyone else think that he's a chicken. He's got to prove once and for all that he's just as tough as any of them. Without another word, he lets his bike fall into the dirt and makes his way towards the big, creepy house. The door pushes open without any resistance, and the boy looks into the dark house. The boy steps inside, and the floorboards creak loudly under his feet. The inside looks much like the outside, old, worn, and abandoned. But then, he hears something, a scratching noise coming from above him. He turns to leave, but he can see all of his friends through the doorway, and they motion for him to keep going. The boy steels his nerves and turns back. He's going to show them just how brave he is. The boy starts up the stairs, each one groaning as he steps onto it. He reaches the top of the stairs to find a landing with more rooms, each full of dirt and debris.
Animation now.
There's spray paint on many of the walls and lots of trash. It looks like teens may use this as a place to hang out. But there at the other side of the landing is one more room, and the door is shut. From outside, the group of children can see through the upper windows as the boy makes his way through the house. They're not laughing and teasing any longer. In fact, they're impressed by how bravely he is exploring the old home. Though none of them would admit it out loud, he's earning their respect. The boy reaches the shut door at the end of the hall and presses his ear to it, but he doesn't hear anything inside. He places his hand on the doorknob and slowly opens it. The boy screams and falls backwards as the cat that was hiding inside panics and jumps through one of the open windows. The boy can't help but laugh. Of course, it was just a... The boy screams again as the floor gives way beneath him, and he crashes down onto the first floor in a pile of debris. He's stunned by the fall before starting to scream again as that floor gives way too. His yelling is silenced by the air being knocked out of him as he hits the basement floor. He's covered in dust and pieces of 2 floors he fell through. He feels bruised and sore, but he can wiggle his fingers and toes. He's not paralyzed, and it doesn't even feel like he's broken a bone. Maybe he's okay. But no, he's definitely not okay. Because suddenly, there's something picking him up off the floor.
What the fuck?
As his eyes adjust to the dark basement, he sees what it is that's holding him. It's half man, half machine, a huge, disgusting mix of metal and flesh. The boy is too scared to scream anymore as the creature's unmoving, dead-looking eyes stare straight into his. Its face looks as though the skin has been stretched across a human metallic skull. The boy can only watch as the monster raises its sharp, metallic fingers and brushes the dirt out of the boy's hair. The boy starts to whimper, but whatever this thing is, it doesn't seem to want to hurt him. A tinny, robotic voice coming from a small device on the creature's face suddenly breaks the silence. Al anta ala mayuram. The boy doesn't understand, but the robotic man tilts his horrific head to the side and repeats the same thing. The boy is still confused, but he feels like the robot is trying to tell him something. He somehow gets the sense that it's not going to hurt him. Is this the monster that everyone's been afraid of? A misunderstood machine man living down here in the basement? The robot flinches as something is smashed on the back of his head. He tosses the boy to the side and turns to see the boy's friends, each of them armed with pieces of wood and...
Damn, hey! I give it to these niggas, look at them. These niggas actually pulled up and tried to do something. Like, dude, Grant, I mean, they ain't gonna do shit, but hey, the effort is what matters. You know what I'm saying? Effort goes a long way.
Other scraps as weapons. They've come here to save their friend from the monster that they dared him to find. Another runs up to strike the robot, but before he can reach him, he falls to his knees in pain, as do the rest of the children. The creature has begun emitting a high-frequency noise, and the children try to cover their ears. They all feel a searing pain that makes it feel as though their heads will explode. The piercing noise continues to ring out, but the monster looks like it has entered some kind of dormant state and is no longer moving. The small boy is able to slowly get back to his knees, hands still clasped to the side of his head, and stand up. He runs past the monster and his friends who are writhing on the floor in pain, up the stairs and out of the old house.
Damn.
A woman stands at a kitchen counter, chopping vegetables for
Wait,
their
is
dinner
that
that
it?
evening, and talking to her oldest daughter
okay.
about her plans for that weekend,
Wait.
when the back door suddenly
okay,
bursts open.
okay.
Standing there is her
What did I
son,
say?
the small boy. He's barely able to whisper the words, "Monster. There's a monster in the basement," before he collapses, blood pouring from his ears and nose, before
Holy
he begins
shit.
convulsing on the floor. At the local police station, an officer is speaking on the phone. "I see. Yes, that is quite strange. A metal man? You don't say. I'll send someone out there right away. Don't go anywhere." Police officer hangs up the phone and looks around, making sure no one is nearby or listening to him, and then takes out a cell
SCP.
phone. He dials a number from memory, and someone answers on the other end almost immediately. "Yes, this is Field Agent Patch," the police officer says. "You need to get a containment team out here right away, and a good one too. I don't know what it is, but it's dangerous." An SCP Foundation mobile task force that specializes in containing
Okay,
dangerous
damn, they
humanoid
got on
threats
this shit
soon
quick.
arrived at the house and took the anomaly into captivity. Misinformation teams concocted a cover story about a gas leak leading to the unfortunate deaths of several of the town's children and administering amnestics to any potential witnesses. Once the messy business of containment was over, though, it was time to figure out just what this strange creature was. SCP-203
Holy
appears
shit.
to have at one time been a Caucasian human male, though its appearance now is far different than it once was. This bipedal humanoid creature stands 2.5 meters tall and weighs roughly 200 kilograms.
Jesus
Both its
Christ.
incredible height and weight are due to the fact that the man's original skeleton has been entirely removed and replaced with
wow.
a mechanical framework made of cast iron. The metal
Holy
skeleton
shit.
is much larger than the original bones, and in many places, SCP-203's skin has split from being stretched over it, revealing the mechanical structure underneath. Other parts of the framework appear to have been intentionally made to protrude through the skin, though it is unclear for what purpose. In addition to this larger than
Make it
normal
look
mechanical
cool.
skeleton, a number of other augmentations are present on
I mean, yeah, you're
SCP-203.
right.
Its fingers have been extended into sharpened, hook-like barbs that are approximately 1 meter long. Its lips have been removed entirely, making it clear that there is no movable jawbone, and that the skull is likely one large hollow piece of metal, and there are several more hook-like protrusions jutting out
Just
around the
chill.
mouth area, smaller but similar in
now.
appearance to the fingers. SCP-203's legs have been modified as well, with 2 added joints that give them an appearance more akin to a dog's, and its toes have been removed and replaced with a solid piece of metal similar to those found in steel-toed boots. Its chest has no sternum or breastplate, which causes the skin stretched across to pull inward as its diaphragm contracts. Its
Oh.
ears have also been removed, though it still seems to possess hearing that is far beyond that of an average human. And while its eyes still remain, they are held in a permanently forward-facing position by several needles that emerge from the eye sockets. The irises also appear
Oh.
permanently dilated and do not react to light. In place of a mouth is a small speaker covered by a metal grate that is capable of producing basic vocalizations, though with a distinctly robotic sound to them. Tests have shown that SCP-203 has a basic understanding of English, but its own primary language seems to be a type of Arabic, though there
wow.
are no records of the exact dialect. SCP-203 does not need to eat or drink, and without any visible mouth, it is likely incapable of either. Instead, it runs off of a power cell located within its body that will provide energy for up to 72 hours. After those 3 days, SCP-203 will shut down and enter a hibernation state for 3 to 4 hours, during which its power source will recharge, providing it with another 72 hours of energy.
Holy shit.
All attempts to examine SCP-203 by either X-ray, CT, ultrasound, and other forms of diagnostic imagery have failed, and attempts at exploratory surgery have triggered its defense mechanisms, which are both painful and deadly. When it perceives that it is being threatened in some way, SCP-203 is capable of emitting a high-frequency droning sound that has a profoundly damaging effect on the human nervous system. The effects of this defense mechanism were able to be observed directly when a D-Class personnel accidentally struck SCP-203 and its droning sound was activated. Immediately after being exposed to the sound, D-104 experienced a severe headache.
Goddamn.
After 15 minutes, the headache grew worse, and D-104 began to bleed from the ears. After a half hour, the D-Class, who had now gone to the infirmary, began to experience seizures and was bleeding from all of his orifices. 10 minutes later, the D-Class was dead.
Jesus
Another
Christ.
test was performed, and the results were nearly identical, with symptoms progressing at roughly the same rate. However, this time, rather than move the D-Class to the infirmary, it was kept in the cell with SCP-203. After 40 minutes, the D-Class was
Holy
dead,
fuck.
and a few minutes later, 203 finally ceased its droning sound. SCP-203 then approached the body of the deceased D-Class and began to use its own augmentations to start removing the skeleton of the D-Class. While SCP-203 was stopped before it could complete its task, it now appears that the droning sound it produces is a defense mechanism, but may also be a part of the process by which it creates new instances of SCP-203. In interviews with SCP-203, it claims to have no memories of its life prior to its augmentation. It says that it now exists in a near constant state of pain and confusion, and that the times when its battery is expended and it enters a rest state are its only escape from the pain of its existence. It also claims that it has no memory of what happens once its defense mechanism is activated, nor does it remember what it did to the body of the D-Class that was left in its cell. However, it is unknown just how truthful SCP-203 is being. There has been no way to verify anything that SCP-203 tells researchers, and for the time being, its statements are to be regarded by Foundation staff as an attempt to elicit sympathy or otherwise manipulate them emotionally. It's made several requests for pain-killing medication and anesthetics, but so far, all of these requests have been denied. SCP-203 has been classified as Euclid, and it is kept in a specialized storage bunker at a research site. 2 D-Class personnel equipped with sound filtering equipment guard it at all times, and it is accompanied by an armed escort to any testing or research sessions. Is SCP-203 the ultimate victim? A normal human that was transformed against his will into a crude amalgamation of man and machine? Maybe there is something more to SCP-203, or rather, less. Is SCP-203 fooling all of us? Is this tortured iron soul nothing more than a metallic monster disguising itself with the skin of its last victim? Perhaps with more research, we will one day know the answer.
A young man is in the middle of one of his regular night jogs through the park. He loves running through this park at night. It's dark, the air is cool, and the sounds of the city that surround the park disappear, offering peace, quiet, and a small reprieve from the busy world.
Like, I don't want you fucking around.
He jogs along a path that winds through the park and starts upon a section that is surrounded on both sides by tall trees. He follows the path around a sharp bend and is stopped in his tracks. Standing there in the middle of the track is a figure. It has its back to him and isn't moving. He's tall and so uniformly black that he almost disappears into the night. Whoever or whatever this is, he's scared of it. But the creature doesn't move, and neither does he. He's frozen, unsure of what to do, when the creature suddenly turns his head towards him, revealing a pair of bright, glowing eyes. The runner is so terrified he can't even scream. He falls and crawls backwards in the dirt, trying to get away from the creature. The creature turns its body towards him and begins stepping forward. The runner scrambles to his feet and runs. He's sprinting as hard and as fast as he can, adrenaline pumping, heart pounding, trying to put as much distance as he can between himself and that thing. His muscles burn, his lungs ache, but he can't stop. Finally, he's back at his house. He bursts through the door, locking and bolting it behind him. His girlfriend is reading on the couch and doesn't understand what's going on. After struggling to catch his breath, he tries to explain what he saw on the path, but his girlfriend just laughs. A giant man with glowing eyes? He was just seeing things in the dark. It was probably a dog, nothing that would justify the panic he was now in.
Nigga.
The next day, he's left wondering if he really was mistaken. Those piercing, glowing eyes are burned into his mind, though.
Hell no.
Maybe his girlfriend was right, and it really was just a dog. Yes, that must be it.
What kind of dog
His mind was just playing tricks on him in the dark. Even so, he's going to stick to running inside, at least for a little while. But he soon finds that he's having a hard time. He notices that he's running out of breath much quicker than normal. Is he coming down with something? He doesn't feel sick, but then why is he suddenly so weak? 2 weeks have passed since he saw something in the park. No one he brought it up to, not his friends, not his co-workers, have ever heard of such a thing. And no one seemed like they believed him either. At this point, he is feeling sure that he really did imagine it, but he can't get that image of whatever it was.
It's in his head now.
He can't keep running on a treadmill forever, though. He misses his night runs. It's time to get over his fear. He's running through the park again, enjoying the silence and the light breeze on his skin. He continues down the path.
I'm not gonna have none of that
getting closer and closer to the
bullshit
spot
in
where
this
he saw
chat.
that thing before.
He can't stop.
All right,
He has to prove to everyone that he's not afraid. He has to prove it to himself. He reaches the part of the path that runs through the tall trees. Just like before, the sounds of the city melt away. The only sound coming from his steady, heavy breathing. He follows the winding path and feels his heart starting to race, but he has to keep going. He rounds the same corner and
gotta keep going.
Nothing is there.
Nice.
He slows to a stop. Of course nothing is here. Nothing ever was. He really did imagine it. Or did he?
Oh!
Buongiorno. Today's file comes from the Italian branch of the SCP Foundation.
Oh, the Italian
SCP-015-IT, also known as the Boogeyman.
The Boogeyman.
SCP-015-IT is a humanoid entity that stands just under 2 meters tall. Its body is devoid of any hair, and its dark, black skin absorbs 98% of all light, making it virtually invisible in low light. Its head lacks a nose or ears, but these missing features are hardly noticed, because if you see 015-IT, its eyes are what demand all of your attention. While the Boogeyman's skin is completely black, its eyes contain light-producing organs on the irises.
Oh, don't
causing
worry,
them to
she
glow in
don't
the dark,
bite. Her name's
like a deep-sea
Princess.
predator. Its mouth contains 8 pointed teeth on both the upper and lower jaws, and a long 28-centimeter forked tongue. The 2 tips of its tongue each have a hollow needle-like organ that leads straight into its esophagus. More on what it does with that specialized biological feature soon. Physically, SCP-015-IT is rather slight, but it is surprisingly strong and easily able to overpower an adult human. Its skinny arms are much longer than an average human's, and each of its 4 fingers ends in a razor-sharp claw. It has also been shown to be quite resistant to physical injuries, and possesses the ability to heal wounds and damage to internal organs at a hyper-accelerated rate. SCP-015-IT is primarily active at night, which is unsurprising given its skin's natural camouflage in the dark. The Boogeyman hunts mammals, with humans being its preferred.
No! No! Not my dog! Not my dog!
Prey, but it does not feed on flesh. Instead, SCP-015-IT draws its sustenance from the adrenaline and noradrenaline produced by its quarry. Adrenaline and noradrenaline are chemicals the body produces to increase heart rate, blood flow, and provide more energy to the muscles in moments of stress, or in the case of SCP-015-IT, extreme fear. And it has developed a hunting method to cause this exact reaction in humans. 015-IT will usually hide in dark spots, trying to keep out of sight as much as possible as it stalks its next victim. If it has been able to remain unseen, it will wait for a moment when its prey has become distracted, so it can silently approach them. Once close enough, it will leap towards its unaware victim, grab them, and quickly bite them on the side of the torso, near where the adrenal gland is located. It uses its large teeth to anchor its mouth in place, as it uses the needles on its forked tongue to probe into their body. With one needle, it pierces directly into the adrenal gland and begins draining the blood that is now rich with fear-induced adrenaline. At the exact same time, the other needle releases a mild sedative, allowing 015-IT to feed and then depart without risk, as the victim remains immobile. Another anomalous effect occurs when someone is unlucky enough to actually see the Boogeyman. Roughly 2 weeks after observing the creature, the person who saw it will begin experiencing various detrimental mental effects, including hallucinations and panic attacks. Some will also begin to experience physical issues, most often damage to the cardiovascular system. It is unknown why exactly these mental and physical effects occur, but it is theorized that SCP-015-IT may use it as a way to weaken certain prey that it considers too strong or potentially dangerous. In 2011, the Boogeyman was actually contained, but not by the SCP Foundation. The Brotherhood of St. George's Knights is a secret order in the Catholic Church that was created by the Pope in the year 453 to either contain or eliminate all anomalies, and it was this group that first captured SCP-015-IT, which they designated as Dia 212, in line with their own classification system. While it was in their containment, they made a number of discoveries about the creature that they labeled as a shadow demon. First, they found that while it feeds on the fear of its victims by ingesting their blood, it doesn't actually require this to survive.
Oh, wow.
Dia 212, as they call it, is an unstable entity, and feeding allows it to maintain its physical shape in our reality.
Oh, wow.
In addition to its impressive physical strength, the boogeyman is also quite intelligent, as seen by its ability to successfully hunt,
Holy
attack,
shit.
and escape from humans. Strangely, it also appears to be resistant to weapons which have been blessed, causing only a fraction of the physical damage that they should when compared to a similar, non-holy version. During the course of research into the creature, Father Ilardi, a member of the Brotherhood of St. George's Knights, wrote that despite the creature being repugnant beyond every limit, he believed that it had a gentle soul, and that its screams are similar to a pained cry. He postulated that SCP-015-IT may have even once been a human before some dark force transformed it into the monster that it had become. He decided that it was his mission to find a way to communicate with the creature, and one day bring it back into the light and love of his god. Father Ilardi was making good progress with the creature, and it seemed like it was even growing fond of him and his disciples.
No.
But his advances were halted when they were attacked by a group of soldiers from the Fascist Council of the Occult, a terrorist group that seeks to use anomalies as weapons in their quest to disrupt the social order. In the attack, several of the Brotherhood were killed, and in the commotion, SCP-015-IT escaped. Following this, reports soon began to come from the province of Caserta that described what sounded like vampire attacks. A mobile task force was sent to the area, and while 015-IT was initially able to make use of its various physical abilities to evade and escape capture, it was eventually shot with a transmitter that allowed it to be tracked.
Nice.
The Italian mobile task force was able to surround the creature, but fearing being contained again, it responded with a level of violence that it had not been thought capable of. Several members of the task force were killed in the line of duty before the boogeyman could finally be subdued. Today, SCP-015-IT is contained at Site Vittoria in the Emilia-Romagna region of Italy. Since this anomaly is both sentient and highly unpredictable in its behavior, it has been classified as Euclid. It is kept in a standard humanoid entity containment cell and is monitored by video cameras and infrared sensors at all times. Due to the light-absorbing properties of its skin, its cell and the adjacent corridors are painted white and are to be kept well lit at all times. Twice a day, SCP-015-IT is given a normal domestic pig that it is allowed to feed on. Any personnel assigned to 015-IT duty must undergo a psychological assessment on a weekly basis, and, regardless of the results, must be cycled out after 3 months of exposure to the boogeyman.
A storm rages outside of the little old house.
Oh, hell nah. Carnivorous blanket. Oh, man. You're telling me there's an SCP fucking blanket? I can get all snuggled up in a blanket, and the next thing you know, I'm getting my damn kneecaps eaten and shit. Like, that's some old bullshit. And give me just a second. I'm gonna go get me a good old Dr. Pepper. Alright. Panda man needs to get some Dr. Pepper. I'll be right back. Oh, wait, shit. Ice cubes. Crispy. Now those are little snackies I had in the freezer that I need to get. I am back, you beautiful people. I am back with. This is my first time trying it. I wanted to try these yesterday, but I didn't get the chance. Vanilla bean mochi. Never had mochi before. I always wanted to try it. Oh! Damn. Oh, yeah, this shit good.
As inside, a little old woman bounces a little baby on her little old knee. The baby coos and laughs as the old woman makes funny faces and noises for the child, trying to keep it entertained as they wait for his parents to return from their much-needed night out by themselves. The old woman herself needs a rest now, though. She's forgotten how exhausting it can be to watch a child. Okay, that's enough. It's time for both of us to take a little nap before your parents get back. She gets up and takes the baby into a nearby room that looks as though it was a nursery at one time, but it hasn't been used for many years. As she goes to set the child into the crib, a strong gust of wind blows through the room. She places the baby down and rushes to the window and closes it shut. It must have been left cracked open by mistake.
That strong gust of wind.
The room is cold from the wind, but she has just the thing to fix that. She moves to a small closet and opens the creaky door. The little old woman strains to reach up to the top shelf and feels around. Ah, there it is. She pulls down a baby blanket, a soft baby blue with colorful animals printed on it. It looks as though it's been up there for a long time, and she gives it a good shake before walking back to the crib. Look what we have here. It's your daddy's own blankie. She gives it another shake. There we go, good as new. She leans into the crib and wraps the small helpless child in the blanket before giving him a gentle kiss on the forehead. Now you get some sleep. Your mommy and daddy will be back before you know it, and we want to show them what a good babysitter Grammy is, don't we? That way I get to see you all the time. The little old woman switches off the light and exits the room, leaving the door cracked just a few inches. She heads back to the couch, exits the room, leaving the door cracked just a few inches. She heads back to the couch and plops down on it. Almost as soon as she does, though, the baby starts crying. With a sigh, she gets back up and goes back to the nursery. "What's the matter, little dear?" she says as she turns the lights on. "Oh no," she rushes to the crib. "You've kicked your blanket off. You must be freezing." She grabs the blanket from the end of the crib and tucks it around the baby once again. "There you go, that's better." The old woman leaves the room, and quietly closes the door shut, leaving it open just a few inches. The moment she turns around to go back to the couch, though, the crying starts again. With a sigh, she opens the door and goes back into the room. Once again, the blanket is stuffed at the end of the crib where the baby has kicked it off. Fine, don't want a blanket? That's fine. She picks the baby up out of the crib and rocks him in her arms until it stops crying. She sets him back in the crib. There you go. No blankets, just please get some sleep. Grammy's tired. The old woman takes the blanket out of the crib and leaves the room. She closes the door most of the way and, incredibly, this time the child remains silent. The old woman resumes her place on the couch and starts to yawn. Just as she does, the wind outside picks up and howls loudly. The old woman shivers. She looks next to her and spots the baby blanket. She picks it up and examines the cute animal print, remembering when her own son was a baby wrapped in it. She smiles at the happy thought and throws the blanket around her shoulders.
Oh, God.
She leans back on the couch and finds that her eyes are growing very heavy. She'll rest them for just a moment. She won't fall asleep. She'll just rest.
Oh.
Mom, it's us. We're back. Thanks again for... The couple both scream when they enter the house to find that the old woman is lying face down on the floor in a pool of blood.
Holy
The source of the blood is
shit.
obvious. Chunks of flesh from her shoulders and upper back
Oh
have
my
been torn
God.
out, leaving jagged holes, as if she were mauled by an animal. As the man runs to the
what
old
about the
woman,
baby?
trying to do anything he can to help her, the woman runs to the nursery to find that the baby is sleeping peacefully in his crib. The woman picks up the child, tears streaming down her cheeks, and returns to the living room to see her husband kneeling beside his dead mother. Both the husband and wife are so shocked by what they have found that neither notices the baby blanket lying on the couch, or that the cruel, blood-covered mouth on it is slowly fading from view until it disappears completely. There is little in life that is more comforting than a favorite blanket. Perhaps you've had the same one since you were a child, or you have a heavy one that you like to wrap yourself in when you're feeling down, or maybe it's just one that's especially fluffy and warm that you'd do anything to keep. Today's anomaly plays on those very feelings, using them against its victims to become one of the more insidious
That's
predatory
mean, man.
anomalies in the SCP Foundation
I better
archives.
cash money.
This is SCP-799, also known as the Carnivorous Blanket. SCP-799 is a type of creature that can vary in shape, size, and appearance, but, as the name implies, always takes the form of a blanket of some kind. The exact material the anomaly is made out of is unknown, but it is a very soft fiber that in many ways resembles a high-quality merino wool blend, though one that retains heat even more effectively than its natural counterpart. SCP-799's weight can vary from between half a kilogram all the way to 6 kilograms, and while examples have been found in nearly every color imaginable, it seems predisposed towards pastels and will frequently have patterns featuring stylized, friendly depictions of various animals. Both the pastel colors and the childish patterns are especially common in instances of SCP-799 that weigh less than 2 kilograms and would colloquially be known as baby blankets. While SCP-799 is undoubtedly a living organism, there is some debate as to whether it is itself an animal or perhaps a type of fungal colony. Instances of 799 are incapable of locomotion, lying motionless for long periods of time, and require little in the way of nutrition. What small amount they do need, they appear to be able to gain almost entirely from the organic particles present in normal household dust, such as animal dander and dead human skin cells. The blanket feeds via a series of minute, filter-feeding mouth-like structures that are spread across the surface of the creature, which wait for nutrients to fall into them, not unlike a sponge on the ocean floor. Instances of SCP-799 can survive for quite a while in this state, and one specimen was noted as having lived for multiple years in a damp attic, subsisting entirely on the small organic particles that would drift down from the rafters above. Should an instance of SCP-799 be forced to go for long periods of time without a source of nutrition, though, like when, for example, it is placed inside of a sealed closet or drawer, it will begin to undergo certain physical changes, which result in it metamorphosing into its predatory form. These changes aren't noticeable from only casual observation and consist of the blanket converting its many filter-feeding mouths into a single, large one that is lined with multiple rows of extremely sharp teeth. The blanket creature also develops a new form of tissue inside its cloth-like structure, one that is similar to muscle and capable of contracting and squeezing. Once its metamorphosis is complete, the instance of SCP-799 will lie in wait for an unsuspecting creature to cover themselves with it or wrap it around their body. Once they do, the blanket will bide its time until they enter a state of rest, usually waiting for them to fall asleep entirely, at which point its feeding phase will begin. Once the creature has detected that its victim is dormant, it will use its newly formed muscle to latch onto them, holding them in place as it opens its tooth-lined maw. It will begin to bite at its confined prey, tearing off several kilograms of flesh, bone, and any other organic material it can, swallowing it, and converting it into a thin slurry that it spreads through its body almost immediately. This traumatic, violent process nearly always leads to the victim dying of blood loss. Within 10 minutes of the attack, the mouth on SCP-799 will have been completely reabsorbed, leaving no signs that it is anything other than a normal, everyday blanket, though one which now mysteriously weighs several kilograms more than it did before.
Wow.
By 40 minutes after the attack, the entire digestive system within SCP-799 will have demetamorphosed back into its original form, with a single digestive tract being changed once again to the many dispersed filter-feeding mouths.
Oh.
While SCP-799 is more...
Sure you want to TP to me? I'm in the, trying to craft decision after compass. I'm still in the deep dark. I don't even got myself up out of here. I ain't even gonna hold. Oh, TP you there? Okay. I got you. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. TP. There you go. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna keep this place. There we go. Now I have this marked. Oh shit. We're going up so high. Let me out of here. Oh, I hope I have enough durability on this iron pick to get out of here. Oh yeah, I'm Gucci. I'm Gucci. Or am I? Never mind. I thought I was. But I'm not. Thought I was getting close to ground level, but I am. Never mind. I'm getting close. I don't have one anymore. I don't have any anymore since I had to restart. It just like completely resetted everything. Or not resetted everything, it just resetted my waypoints. Which sucks, but I mean, it's alright. The map is very detailed, so it ain't too hard to find shit that I had before. Besides underground. That's gonna be a doozy to find again. Ah, there we go. Yay! Okay, so chilling right now. Back to the video. Wait, what? I can get on Sogaleo? That's sick. If so. Ooh. One. Um. Alright. I'm gonna go to the near one. Damn, near moon. Fucking near. Yep. Well, yeah. I'll just teleport to you whenever you get there. Just let me know. Woo. Holy fuck. Damn. These things so fucking good. It's gonna be like once in a blue moon treat, though. Can't have too much, it is. All right. Home sweet home. Thank you kindly. Gosh damn, look at my farm. So much citrus fruit. Love it. Hell yeah.
More than happy to feed on any warm-blooded animal, including humans. It shows
More
no
like,
interest
how
in
you gonna
cold-blooded
let-
ones
how you
or
gonna
inanimate
let
objects. It appears then that its senses may be limited to only touch and heat, using those as signs that it is now wrapped around a potential
Carnivorous
meal.
blanket.
Adding to the strangeness of SCP-799 is
Literally.
that it reproduces through budding, like flatworms and corals. When it has absorbed enough nutrients and sufficiently increased its mass, either very slowly
so
through filter
mad.
feeding or rapidly via its carnivorous phase, it will begin to take on a quilt-like appearance. Over several weeks, one of the quilt squares will puff up.
I know my damn carnivorous blanket would fucking hate me. I move a lot. Like, I'd be moving a little bit in my sleep. So I fucking I'm just throw that motherfucker off in my. It's like, oh yeah, he just went to sleep. It's fucking snack time. I just grabbed that motherfucker. Yay! It can't do a damn thing about it. It's not like it can move. Yeah, I got muscle, but I mean, they didn't say anything that it can move. It just stays in one spot and feed off of microorganisms and shit like that, as well as like dust.
Up and slide off the blanket. This new, smaller instance will resemble a doily or a throw pillow.
Now, how the hell? Oh my god. This is the only problem. Why?
Another day. And the last of the bar hoppers and club goers have long since turned in. At the end of the street, the last bar is finally closing down for the night. Or it would, except that the bartender is having trouble getting rid of a customer. Sitting at the bar, an old derelict is demanding yet another drink. The bartender grumbles in annoyance. This derelict is sloppy drunk, and the bartender just wants to go home. Closing time, growls the bartender. Just one more, protests the derelict, shaking his empty glass for emphasis.
Nigga, we just... Oh, yeah, sorry. I was like, I swore this looks familiar.
How long it takes SCP-799 to reach full maturity, but the current best guess is that when kept in its filter feeding phase, an instance will reproduce every 50 to 60 years. Instances of SCP-799 are quite prevalent across the planet, and the SCP Foundation currently has hundreds of examples in containment. Unfortunately, it is unknown just how many still exist in the wild, as it is very difficult to identify instances, with one of the only reliable means being through genetic testing. Should any instances be located, though, they are to be destroyed immediately, as the Foundation already has a large enough population in containment for research purposes, and they pose too much of a risk both in terms of harm and exposure to the general public. SCP-799 has been classified as Euclid, and each instance is kept in its own separate biocontainment cell at Biosite 66. Dust is regularly collected from the on-site D-class personnel dorms and is sprinkled over the blankets regularly to keep them in their filter-feeding state, though only just enough to hopefully maintain their size and not allow them to reproduce. Should any small cloth objects appear in their containment lockers, it is to be removed immediately and contained separately. SCP-799 isn't the only predatory creature that resembles a cloth good in Foundation containment, and research into possible connections to SCP-1626, the oversized gray hooded sweatshirt that sends penetrating fibers into anyone unlucky enough to put it on, is ongoing.
It's not every day that the SCP Foundation opens a brand new
The dungeon. Bum bum bum.
site and appoints a new site director, but today is one of those days. Work is about to begin at Site 41, and a respected senior researcher has been appointed director of the brand new site. He hasn't been told much about it yet, but he knows a few things for certain. Some sort of new, highly volatile anomaly was discovered, a site was constructed around it, and his many years of loyalty to the organization have finally been rewarded with a promotion. As he takes his morning shower, his mind races, turning over the possibilities that this new chapter might bring. Is he up to the potential challenges? Just how dangerous is this new anomaly? What could possibly necessitate the building of a brand new site just to contain it? Whatever it is, these years of securing, containing, and protecting have prepared him. He's seen bizarre creatures, cursed places, and objects that defy the laws of physics. Whatever awaits him in his new position,
That's the only thing
he can
my
handle it.
computer won't be able to
He rinses the shampoo from his hair, letting his jitters flow down the drain with it, and switches off the water. He climbs out of the shower and turns to the foggy mirror. He sweeps a palm across the glass and meets his reflection's eyes. His serious expression catches him off guard, and he can't help but let his mind wander back to someone else who looked at him that way, with those stony gray eyes, such a long time ago. He and his brother had never gotten along. Though they shared the same face, the same hair, and the same eyes, they couldn't have been more different. He was the screw-up, the one who couldn't focus in class and was always bumbling through life like a bull in a china shop. His brother was the golden boy, the star student who could do no wrong. As the boys got older, he tried to climb out of his brother's shadow and tried to live up to their parents' expectations, but anything he did, his brother could do better. He got into a great college, his brother got into Harvard. He got a job, his brother got a more impressive one. He got a Honda, his brother got a Mercedes. He fell in love with a girl, and his brother married her. It seemed like he would never stand on his own, never be anything but the lesser version of a perfect man, a nasty little homunculus who just happened to be wearing the graven image of something greater than himself. On the night of his brother's wedding, the festering resentment had finally come to the surface. He remembers the night in bits and pieces. A harsh word, a fifth drink, a broken champagne glass. His brother said something that went too far, cut too deep. Without thinking, he shoved him just a bit too hard. He watched his brother fall, watched his head hit the corner of the table, and then he was still. Silent. He thought about turning himself in, but then another thought crossed his mind. Why ruin two futures at once? His brother was gone. There was no coming back from that. Should he really spend the rest of his life in prison over a tragic mistake? It didn't seem fair. Instead, he planned. For once, he was grateful for the similarities between him and his brother. Their handwriting, for instance. He forged a note to his brother's new bride, telling her that he couldn't take the pressures of his life anymore. He was leaving, fleeing to Europe to start a new life, with a new name, and leaving all of his old ties behind. Then he packed his brother's body, the one that looked so much like his own, into a suitcase. He drove out into the woods, to a place they had once gotten lost as children, and he buried it so deep, no one would ever find it. He'd never forget how he felt that night, laboring away in the dark forest, face an unpleasant mess of snot and tears, the end of his shovel piercing the dirt again and again, until he'd made a big enough hole to consign the case that now held his own brother's mangled body. Every shovelful of dirt that he piled back on, hiding his sin, felt heavier than the last. What had he done? What the hell had he done? But by the time the grim deed was concluded, rationalizations had smoothed out the hard edges of his crime. There were a million reasons this was okay. This was justified. It was an accident, of course, that much was clear. But didn't his brother also have it coming? For flaunting his perfect life in his face for all these years?
I probably have one in the house.
And who was the worthless chunk of dead meat now? The scales were balanced once more. No one would ever know what he did. No one but him, in those moments where he could see his brother in the mirror, reminding him of his greatest shame, no matter
Okay, nothing in here. I do not have an electric gym, sadly. Are you talking about like gym or gym? Like the next gym. Yeah, no, I don't, sadly. Oh wait, actually, hold on. Wait. Nah, damn. I literally have fire, ice, psychic, and flying. I mean, I have like other items if you need. I got a thunderstone, magnet, a eject pack, magma. Oh, I don't know what she was that for. Choice specs, black glasses, focus band. There you go. I threw it out. You can take what else you like. Can you not pick that up? Here we go. Damn, two. That's fine. Oh wait, no, actually that's enough. I'm tweaking. I'm tweaking. Bam. Shit, I got 3 now? Perfect. Look at that. Yes. Yes. You want to see my shiny or my shiny magic carp evolve, Hannah? Are you good? Good off that. Plant over there. Let me turn the sound on. Ow. Okay, hold on. Give me a second. I'm turning this sound on. There we go. Yes. 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 My big red boy. Yes, my big red boy. Slowest on the land, but the fastest in the seas. Oh, wait. Oh, shit. What? Oh, shit. Whoa. Oh, this is so crazy. Oh, shit. Oh. Ah, I'm so sorry, Gyarados. I still gotta get a hang of this. Whee! Oh, that's awesome. What? That makes sense. Flying Pokemon. Flying in water, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, flying in water. Hell yeah. Ow. Oh. Damn! That... You think that's a... Oh, thank you. Thank you. All I need is this motherfucker to evolve. My little munchkin. My little Corvus Squire. My right hand man. My right hand man. All right. Back to it.
No matter how hard he tried to forget. But that moment is long gone. He's back in the present now, grounding himself with a splash of cold water on his face. He shakes off the memories and dresses for the day. It's time to get to work. When he arrives at the facility, he's shocked by what he sees. It's a castle, grand and imposing, even if the years have not been particularly kind to it. The Foundation did not build this structure, though they've set up shop inside now. His reminiscence has made him late, and he hasn't even had a chance to look over his paperwork yet. But when you're a site director, what does it even matter if you're a little late? You're the boss, the head honcho. The party doesn't start until you walk in. Just the thought of it is enough to make his chest swell with pride. He will have to ask someone to fill him in, an eager subordinate who won't mind going over the basics of the new facility and what they are here to study. Like clockwork, a young assistant researcher scurries up to him, holding a clipboard and practically vibrating with energy. She clearly hasn't been working here long. There's still light behind her eyes. He thinks to himself, the things you see here will snuff that out soon enough, my dear. The assistant researcher leads him inside the castle, its guts ripped out and replaced with sleek, modern technology. A stone staircase has been swapped out for a row of elevators, marble busts exchanged for security cameras and monitors.
Oh, wow.
They enter one of the elevators, and the assistant presses the button for the lowest possible floor. They are going deep into the bowels of the castle, into the belly
She looks a
of
little
the
too
great beast.
happy.
With a ding, the doors open, and they step out. The air down here has a peculiar smell, musty and dull, with a sharp metallic tang of dried blood. Along the wall, he can see a row of prison cells, 8 of them to be precise, all shut tight. They're rusted and old. They've been here for quite some time. The Foundation didn't put these here. Of course, he realizes with a sinking feeling in his stomach that he can't quite explain, these cells themselves must be the anomaly he's here to supervise the containment of. He should have read the file before arriving, shouldn't have let himself get distracted. Then he would know what he's walking into. So here we are, the assistant chirps, startling the man. He had almost forgotten she was standing next to him. Shall I give you the grand tour?
Oh my
She won't last
god.
long here with such a chipper attitude, he thinks. But he nods just the same. She walks ahead of him, referring
Hell
dutifully to
no.
a clipboard as she goes. This is the first cell. As you can see, all of them are currently inactive. We'll be performing some tests later, though, and you'll hopefully get to see them in action. It's really something. She continues walking to the second cell. There are a lot of potential applications for this anomaly that, once we understand it, could be incredibly promising. He's only half listening as he trails behind her. As they near the third cell, the assistant glances back at him. I really look forward to working with you, sir. I've heard such great things. He opens his mouth to brush off the praise, to feign humility for her sake. When a
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
in the shadows, headed right for him. A shackle clamps suddenly around each of his wrists, the cold metal tight enough to cut off the circulation, digging into his skin. Then, an invisible force on the other end of the chains begins to pull. He fights it, the shackles cutting into him as the assistant screams for help, but his efforts are futile. Whatever wants to pull him closer, whatever is trying to lock him away, it's far stronger than he could ever be. The chains yank him inside the cell, and the door slides shut behind him with a crash. He thinks for just a moment that he can see his brother laughing.
Oh, shit.
Then, he's gone, leaving only an empty cell and a traumatized assistant behind. Sometimes the sins of the past come back to haunt you, and unfortunately for this particular man, there's no statute of limitations when it comes to SCP-567, or the Dungeon. In case the nickname wasn't clear enough, the Dungeon is not the sort of place you would ever want to be confined. SCP-567 is a series of 8 cells located beneath Foundation Site 41. Each cell has a designated number from SCP-567-1 through SCP-567-8. Most of the time, the cells are inactive and indistinguishable from any ordinary prison cell. However, when someone that one of the cells deems to be guilty of a specific offense enters their proximity, the anomalous properties of SCP-567 become abundantly clear. Each cell punishes a specific horrible act. SCP-567-1 targets those who have committed theft. 2 punishes sexual violence. 3 and 4 punish various types of murder. 5 punishes adultery. 6 and 7. I'm afraid I can't quite make out what it says. Someone appears to have deliberately scratched out the text in the file. As for SCP-567-8, whatever wrongdoing it chooses to penalize is still unknown, and it is never activated in the entire time the Foundation has known of it. Every other cell is completely empty, but 567-8 contains one single, antique wooden chair in the center of the room, nailed to the floor. The purpose of this chair is unclear. When an individual who has committed one of the aforementioned acts comes within 2.5 meters of their corresponding cell door, a pair of shackles will shoot out from within the cell, seemingly materializing out of nowhere. These shackles will then lock around the individual's wrists and drag them inside, at which point the cell door will slide itself closed and lock, and the prisoner and shackles will disappear. Multiple researchers have compared this anomaly, both in its function and its methodology, to SCP-1002, or Demisers, and SCP-2701, or True Solitary Confinement, which I have discussed at length before. Since the Foundation first contained SCP-567, only 2 prisoners have ever reappeared after being taken. 68 hours after he was first placed inside SCP-567-3, D-903912 escaped and was found collapsed on the ground just outside Site-41. He died only moments after reappearing, before any medical intervention could take place. An autopsy showed severe injuries, including lacerations, internal bleeding, and burns on his wrists and ankles. The second subject to ever return was D-937122, who was found 157 months after being locked in SCP-567-6.
What the fuck?
In spite of her injuries, which included head trauma, missing fingers, and the same burn marks on her wrists and ankles, this subject had a great deal more energy and attempted to attack the Foundation personnel that found her. She was subdued by several guards, restrained, and interrogated by an unnamed agent. Thankfully, an audio log of the interview was included in the file, giving us a sense of what transpired. Please state your name, the agent began. D-937122 did not respond. Please state your name, they repeated. Again, no response. The agent sighed heavily and changed tactics. Look, I'm very sorry and I want to help you, but we can't give you medical attention unless you cooperate with us, so please state your name for the record. At long last, the D-Class responded with an intense outburst. My name? You want to know my name? Screw my name. There is no name. There is no anything. But there is. I escaped. I got the medal off. None of the... And here the audio was corrupted to the point where I couldn't understand what was being said. After the interference clears, D937122 could be heard shouting, I should be free. Let me go. A struggle followed as she attempted to escape custody. The agent then replied, in an attempt to calm the D-Class down, I apologize, but now we have the opportunity to... Screw your opportunity. There is no opportunity. There's only escape. You called me a monster. Maybe I am one. But the nightmares, they... She briefly broke down into unintelligible mumbling before returning to normal speech. Compared to their crimes, I've done nothing wrong. Nothing at all. I haven't done anything wrong. Nothing. At this point, the D-Class became inconsolable, all coherent speech dissolving into sobs. The agent attempted to calm her down, but she remained hysterical. After several moments of sobbing, the D-Class began to gasp, as if she was having difficulty breathing. She clutched her chest and began to go into apparent cardiac arrest. The agent attempted to administer CPR, but it was unsuccessful, and after a few minutes, she was dead. An autopsy was ordered following the interview, which revealed the apparent cause of her death. Her body was covered with tiny punctures, and a toxicology report revealed an unknown poison in her bloodstream. Though only 2 people have ever emerged from SCP-567, they were not the only organic life forms to break out of the dungeon's cells. Every so often, the doors of a cell will open, and an entity will emerge. These creatures are given the designation SCP-567-9, and they are always aggressive. They do not usually match the description of any existing animal, instead appearing to be some sort of undiscovered creature. Once an instance of SCP-567-9 has escaped its cell, it will attempt to leave the dungeon and attack anything that gets in its way. The first instance of SCP-567-9 observed by the Foundation was a 4-limbed creature approximately 2 meters in length. It walked on all 4s, but had human-like hands on its front limbs, complete with opposable thumbs and sophisticated enough mobility to operate machinery.
What?
It was highly intelligent and used this intellect to take out 14 Foundation operatives before it
Holy
was contained.
shit.
The details of SCP-567-9-2 have been stricken from any official documentation.
Oh, wow.
The only thing I can surmise from the file is that 9 personnel were killed after it appeared, and one of the agents that helped contain it requested and received psychological counseling for what they experienced during the process.
Oh, wow.
So whatever it was he encountered, it wasn't anything good.
Holy
During a round
shit.
of routine testing with SCP-567-4, while the cell door was open, an instance of SCP-567-9 appeared,
Ooh, look at
attacking
that
and
ugly-ass
killing the
thing.
researcher leading the
Jesus.
tests. The entity was not contained, but
Nasty as
after
hell.
7 casualties, was lured back towards its original cell. At this point, the cell deployed its shackles, and the creature was pulled back inside. The most recent instance of SCP-567-9 emerged when the door to SCP-567-7 opened and closed spontaneously. This was spotted on the CCTV footage, but none of the security monitoring the video could see anything leaving the cell. 2 weeks later, an agent assigned to the dungeon was found dead in his home, still in bed. The circumstances of his death were virtually identical to those attributed to SCP-966, a nightmarish species of creature known as the Sleep Killer, which I've discussed here on the channel before. When the escaped entity was found in Site-41,
That
it
was
was found to
good,
resemble
dudes.
an instance
Oh,
of
you changed your name.
SCP-966, with only a few
Good,
variations.
man.
It was successfully contained, and the on-site security cameras were
Looks
upgraded
RP now.
to prepare for future anomalies like it. Though many specifics are missing from the file, including the exact appearances of the creature that emerged from the cells, I have deduced one thing. Wherever SCP-567 is transporting those it deems guilty, it is a prison for monsters of all species. Humans are not the only ones it wishes to hold accountable for their crimes. As I was reading about the dungeon and the various tests involving it, a rather morbid question came to mind.
Hell yeah.
What would happen to a test subject guilty of more than one crime? Which cell would claim
Honestly,
them?
a Chick-fil-A,
Well, fortunately
chicken
for my
salad
curiosity,
sounds
and
fucking
unfortunately
amazing
for him,
right now.
one D-Class found out. D834200
Shit
was
sounds
used as a human
smack.
test subject during initial studies of SCP-567. He was placed in front of SCP-567-6 and 7. Almost instantly, the cells rattled open, and the shackles shot out to grab him. His left wrist and ankle were ensnared by Cell 6, and his right were trapped by Cell 7.
Oh,
Then,
God.
He was pulled into both cells. Well, part of him was at least. How can I best explain his fate without causing too much distress? Have you ever held a wishbone in your hand at a family dinner while your sibling or cousin held the other side, and you both pulled until it broke? It was a bit like that. SCP Foundation Site-41 has been established in the abandoned castle that contains SCP-567 in order to prevent any civilians from coming across it. The entrance to the dungeon is kept sealed at all times, and the doors to each of the cells are monitored via CCTV. If any door is opened without authorization, Task Force Delta 9, also known as HAX, will be deployed to contain the resulting instance of SCP-567-9. If, for any reason, it cannot be contained, the task force is permitted to
Why is it playing on my damn on my I don't know. That's being weird.
terminate. In order to prevent the unnecessary loss of any personnel, all applicants to join Task Force Delta 9 must have a clean criminal record, have never committed a crime at all, even at the behest of the Foundation, have a strong dedication to the law, and show loyalty to the social contract and the feelings of others. A robust moral compass is considered a vital qualification to work near SCP-567, lest they become simply one more victim added to its long list of tortured penitents. The Foundation has encountered many anomalies over the years that could pose a danger to the organization itself. SCP-567 is no exception. Untold numbers of Foundation operatives have committed terrible acts in the service of the greater good. They have lied, stolen, and even killed in order to protect and contain the secrets locked away in files and behind heavily guarded walls. A great deal of caution should be used when dealing with the dungeon, no matter how justified a person thinks their past sins might be. After all, there's no chance to plead your innocence, and the very prison that plans to hold you is also the judge, jury, and executioner. The old house has been abandoned for going on 2 decades, and as with any place that's been left uninhabited for this long, rumors tend to spiral. Of course, there are the more mundane explanations for why the 2-story, 4-bedroom home on the end of a nice street lays in semi-ruin. Black mold, asbestos, rising house prices.
Damn.
But those weren't the stories that most people told. Everyone in the neighborhood knew what really happened. All those years ago, the family that lived there had been murdered, and their killer was never caught. The 3 young paranormal investigators, with EMF readers in their hands and GoPro cameras mounted on their hard hats, know all about this. They approach the house in the dead of night, mumbling commentary for the recordings. If the old house really is as haunted as everyone says it is, then they could be in for something really good here. Their subscribers always love brand new paranormal content. They use a crowbar to breach the front door and head inside. It's everything you can expect from a house that had been abandoned for 17 years. Dust, cobwebs, and graffiti abound, broken bottles scattered across the floor. Someone has scrawled, "Welcome to Hell," above the door in faded Sharpie. It all plays perfectly for the cameras. Paranormal content gold. All of them turn on their flashlights, generously provided to them by one of their sponsors, of course. But in this particular situation, they have no idea just how valuable their product really is. After all, there are some frightening things that hide in the dark. The leader of the trio begins ascending the stairs, narrating into his helmet cam, giving the more popular version of the house's legend. The perfect suburban family, torn apart, literally, by a killer hiding in their home. The family had all been brutally murdered by someone in their home, but the police never found any sign of unlawful entrance or exit. There were no clues to the killer's presence whatsoever, in fact. It was as if they were a ghost, a vapor. It was almost as though whoever killed the family had always been in that house, and even after the murders were committed, they never left the place either. As he tells the story, the lead investigator starts to feel a little nervous. Even though he himself doesn't really believe in the supernatural, he just plays up reactions for the views, he still can't help but wonder, should I really be here? Am I making a terrible mistake? Is there a chance that whatever did this all those years ago could still be in the house, waiting for me?
Yeah.
But he pushes those thoughts from his mind.
No, you
This
shouldn't.
gig is too valuable for him to wimp out now.
Of course.
And really, what are the chances that something actually dangerous would be lurking in the house?
It's slim, but
The
it's
other
not-
two
it's not
investigators are
zero.
still looking around downstairs, sticking together, their flashlight beams slicing through the darkness. Their boss always insists on going upstairs first. He demands the glory shot, after all. That leaves the rest of them searching the downstairs living room, dining room, and kitchen, where the best they can hope for is maybe a particularly haunted-looking dishwasher. It's why the younger of the two is so surprised when they suddenly feel something happening to their body that they've never experienced before. In an instant, their whole body convulses with an involuntary shudder. They feel the temperature drop, and the world gets just that little bit darker. The best way they can describe the feeling is impending doom. Like any moment now, something terrible is going to happen. But almost as soon as the feeling begins, it's gone. Intensity dropping. The dread starting to dissipate, as though whoever or whatever caused this feeling literally passed right through them. Their fellow investigator asks them if they're okay. Of course, they nod and force a smile. They're fine. It's just a spooky place is all. Atmosphere like this would get to anyone. Meanwhile, the lead investigator is exactly where he wants to be, ascending a rickety stepladder up into the attic. The very same attic where, all those years ago, the police had found what was left of the family.
Oh, shit.
And from everything he'd read on the subject,
You're gonna
their
regret that,
remains
boy.
weren't a pretty sight, even by true crime enthusiast standards. He enters the attic and shines his flashlight around, capturing all the dusty old boxes left to rot in the cold. He's engrossed in the macabre spectacle of what had once been the worst and final moments of a group of strangers' very real lives. The attic is full of spider webs and shadows. They're so ubiquitous that as the lead investigator pauses to tell his camera the next chapter of the grisly tale, he doesn't even notice one of the shadows peeling off of the wall behind him.
Oh, no.
It wafts silently towards him, like a gust of midnight air. Little by little, the blob of shadow starts to take on a vaguely human shape. It leans forward in the investigator's direction, arms extended like a classic movie monster. Long, dark claws slide out of its shadowy hands.
Move.
Downstairs, the other two investigators hear the most terrible scream. For a moment, the more fantastical thought crosses their minds. Could this be one of the tormented souls of the departed family, longing to be heard after years of silence? Then it occurs to them that they recognize the scream.
No, that's
it
our...
belongs to their boss.
Yeah.
The two of them charge up the stairs, flashlights in hand, as the screaming starts to become more desperate and pained, like that of a wounded animal with its leg caught in a trap. Those terrible wails are echoing down from the open hatch leading into the attic. It's so dark up there, something must have broken his flashlight. That's when they notice something else. Red, dripping from the open hatch. For a moment, they hesitate, wondering what could be going on up there. Could they really help, or would they just be running into the danger themselves? But soon, their desire to save their boss's life overpowers their fear.
Okay.
They grab the ladder and start climbing, feeling the dripping blood on the worn wooden rungs. When they finally get up into the attic, it feels like the scream is coming from everywhere, bouncing off the walls in a terrible, echoing cacophony of pain.
What the
They
fuck?
turn in all directions, hovering their flashlight beams around the room in wide, sweeping arcs, until both fall on the source of all
Where
this
the
terror.
hell is he?
And when they see it, they can't help but scream too. The lead investigator's body is floating about a foot off the ground, his screams now fading into pained gurgles. Something huge and dark is lifting him up with one hand and sinking the long, dark claws of its other into his neck.
Oh, shit.
The second the twin flashlight beams concentrate on the creature, it drops the lead investigator's bleeding body down onto the ground. His skin slate gray, his feeble twitching slowing to a halt as the last of his life drains from him.
Yeah, be good. Keep
Two
going.
glowing red pinpricks open up in the face of the dark figure, eyes like terrible, burning coals etching themselves into their memory. Like smoke, it continues to glide backwards further, seeking refuge in the dark, a safe haven amongst the other shadows. By this point, the two surviving investigators know there's nothing they can do for their boss anymore. All that's left is to get out and survive. They have to save themselves. They turn, wasting no time running towards the exit. They don't notice it, but the second they turn the beams of their flashlights away, the shadow's terrible eyes disappear, and it starts advancing towards them again, its claws outstretched and grasping for them with awful fury. The shadow creature grabs at their heads as they make their final leap for the exit. However, all the monster can pull away are their helmets and helmet cams as they scramble down the ladder and then down the stairs, running at speeds they didn't even think possible as the shadow slithers down behind them. It doesn't give up. It wants their lives. It wants their warm human blood on its claws. They clear the threshold of the accursed house and keep running to their car. One looks over their shoulder and sees the shadow leave the house, gaining on them, both claws outstretched and ready to rend their flesh. The two climb into their car. They see the shadow coming towards their window. It's moving so quickly, only a few feet away now. It's getting closer and closer and closer. Ignition. The car starts up and the driver smashes the pedal down. They take off, quickly accelerating up to illegal speeds as the shadow continues to chase, slowly getting smaller and smaller in the rearview mirror. A distant nightmare. A terrible, dark ghost. As it finally disappears, they feel a moment of safety. But really, only a moment. Because it occurs to them then that they cannot say with any confidence that this monster won't just be waiting for them when they get home. SCP-280, also known as Eyes in the Dark, is one of the more frightening and dangerous anomalies contained by the SCP Foundation. Of course, it likely won't be causing an XK-class end-of-the-world scenario anytime soon, but if you happen to run into this nocturnal monster, it's likely to cause an end-of-you scenario and remove you from the world with extreme prejudice. There's no way of telling just how many lives it claimed before the SCP Foundation finally got it into containment, and perhaps it's best to just not think about that. SCP-280 is a black wraith-like apparition that floats at roughly average human height, with no visible legs or feet, as the lower portion of its body simply fades away before it reaches the ground. In its dormant state, the entity may appear to be little more than a shadow, easily dismissed, especially in dark environments. This comes as a natural result of the being's frightening ability to become intangible at will, and only become physical when it enters a state of active aggression toward a human target. In this intangible state, victims have even been known to walk through the shadowy mass by accident. While this doesn't lead to any detrimental physical effects, victims report that being inside the creature can lead to heightened states of anxiety, fear, and dread. Despite its body being wholly composed of an unidentifiable black matter, when exposed to light, the creature does begin to express a pair of glowing dots on its head similar to eyes, hence its frightening nickname. However, all tests indicate that these eyes aren't actually functional. Instead, they appear to be a kind of defensive measure, like false eyes on the carapace of an insect.
Oh, wow.
These eyes are never shown when SCP-280 is advancing towards a victim, only when it is in retreat, though this is only one of the entity's several defensive responses. If an area where the creature is residing becomes fully illuminated, or a sudden flash of extremely bright light is directed against it, then it will immediately dematerialize and appear in a different area. The one positive thing that can be said about the hunting patterns of SCP-280 is that they're relatively predictable. The entity, it seems, only has an interest in human beings. When it selects a target, it will pursue them relentlessly, approaching in its intangible form with its arms extended in what many describe as a sleepwalker pose. In this state, you may finally notice 280's claws, long, thin, and razor sharp. It may silently approach while the victim is turned the other way, or while they sleep soundly in bed, or even when they're paralyzed in fear at the very sight of it. When SCP-280 closes the distance, it will begin to rip and tear at its victims with its claws, causing massive physical trauma and, in some cases, death.
Poor family.
Attacks range from 1 to 5 minutes of being relentlessly clawed at by the beast. When the attack is over, it will simply expose its eyes, become intangible once more, and escape. It will not be able to overpower the creature. Foundation tests have shown that it has extreme physical strength, and it's capable of tearing apart solid steel with little effort.
Oh, wow.
If it can't find any humans to victimize, then it will simply remain dormant, pressing itself up against a wall, in a dark corner, or within some other structure. Which is why, if ever you feel nervous about a certain dark corner in a room near you, it is best to remove yourself from the situation as quickly as possible and remain in a brightly lit area. It would perhaps be comforting to believe that SCP-280 is acting on some twisted form of animal instinct. After all, while the results may seem horrific to us, every organism has to eat, right? Well, sadly, that isn't the case here.
Wait, what?
SCP-280 does not appear to eat, sleep, or breathe to survive. It never consumes any of the matter torn from its victims.
So it'll just be bodying
The best working theory is that the entity simply enjoys the harm it causes, taking a degree of perverse pleasure in hunting down and murdering its targets. There is no better nature to appeal to here. The SCP Foundation's
"Oh,
ability to
yes.
study the creature's biology
Ain't
has
none
also
like
been
cutting
stunted,
me
in part due to the
damn
creature's
Ghostbusters.
highly aggressive nature, and also the fact that its selective intangibility makes gaining physical samples almost
Oh,
impossible.
wow.
Even capturing and containing the creature in the first place came partially out of blind luck. It first came to Foundation attention after a series of mysterious locked door murders in a small Mississippi township. In the most recent case, an entire family had been brutally murdered in their home, leaving only one survivor. A traumatized 9-year-old boy named David, who'd locked himself in the basement when he started to hear the screaming. He was so terrified by the things he saw that night that he remained in a catatonic state for weeks afterwards, completely unresponsive to outside stimulus. But one little detail saved his life. A flashlight was clasped in his white-knuckle grip, shining a bright beam of cold, white light
Oh,
onwards.
wow.
When David was removed and placed into medical care, officers began searching the building for any kind of clues as to how the other 4 family members were murdered. However, during this investigation, the police were just as vulnerable as the victims who'd been so recently slain. While one officer was wandering around the attic, looking for any evidence they may have missed, SCP-280 emerged from the darkness and attacked, tearing into his body with its long, deadly claws. Luckily for the officer in question,
wait,
he survived
what?
the incident, though he was badly wounded. His report on the matter, including the ardent claim that he was attacked by a being, quote, made from black smoke, caught the attention of SCP Foundation operatives embedded in the precinct. They soon took over the investigation and descended on the house, hoping to tag and bag whatever had been behind all these deaths.
Get this
This would be
anomaly.
easier said than done. While Foundation field agents canvassed the home, they simply walked past the creature multiple times, discounting it as a mere shadow. After all, it only had these easily identifiable glowing eyes when it was in a retreating position. Even when it entered its physical state, operatives brushing up against it generally dismissed the sensation as hair, clothing, or some other object touching them in the dark. This already bungled investigation got even worse when the Foundation decided to introduce high-intensity lights into the equation, hopefully flushing the creature out. This, of course, only caused it to dematerialize and appear elsewhere. The chase ended in an almost farcical fashion, a cavalcade of Foundation agents chasing a cloud of sneering black smoke across a Mississippi field at 2:30 a.m.
Oh my god.
Thankfully for the human race, the entity was, at the very least, eventually secured and contained. However, this wouldn't be the
power
last
goes
time
out,
it
you're
was out of
cooked.
containment. During a series of tests with different types of illumination, intending to test SCP-280's reflexes, it disappeared from its chamber.
Holy
It seemed
shit.
almost to sink through the different levels of the illuminated site before coming to rest at the containment chamber holding SCP-1591.
Huh?
This made for a fascinating accidental cross-test. You see, SCP-1591, to put it simply, is a unique sculpture of a star that emits an incredibly bright light,
Holy
and this
shit.
light will slowly make any being subject to its glow intangible before disappearing completely.
What the fuck?
When SCP-280 came before SCP-1591, it displayed its eyes, but did not retreat. In fact, it assumed a kneeling position and simply
Oh,
remained
wow.
before the anomalous sculpture until it faded from existence.
Uh-huh.
It then remanifested in its own containment chamber several hours later
What?
without incident. All things considered, it went pretty well as far as containment breaches involving deadly, human-hating monsters go.
Holy
Because
shit.
of its ability to demanifest and phase through solid objects, SCP-280 is incredibly difficult to contain, earning it the dreaded Keter object class.
Yeah.
In order to avoid the risk of demanifestation,
motherfucker
SCP-280 is contained in a 5x5 meter cell that is perpetually left in a state of total darkness. No equipment is to be left in the cell unsupervised at any time, and any items brought into the cell for testing must be removed when the testing is complete. Any staff members entering the chamber for tests must be equipped with infrared goggles, an infrared ID strobe, and also a strong flashlight to ward the creature off in the case that it becomes aggressive. If SCP-280 does attempt to attack anyone in the chamber, all attending staff are instructed to turn on their flashlights and turn the beams against the creature.
Get that motherfucker
No aggressive
back.
action is permitted, and staff members must remain at least 1 meter away from SCP-280 at all times for their own safety. And if you suddenly feel yourself getting a little nervous in an eerily dark room, I'd like you to remember this. The one thing more frightening than seeing eyes in the dark is not seeing them.
The hitman pulls back the hammer of his Beretta with his thumb. The suppressor screwed into the barrel will help muffle the terrible crime he's about to commit. They're in the middle of the forest, his victim on his knees in front of him, his hands bound behind his back. The victim is spewing out excuses and feeble pleas for mercy at a mile a minute, but the hitman remains firm,
aiming his handgun at the back of the victim's head. The victim owes his boss a great deal of money, but the hitman can't remember all the details. All he knows is what he needs to do. Bang, bang, bang. 3 clean shots turned into cracks by the suppressor. His victim slumps forward, dead.
Damn.
It's time for the hitman to go home. The job isn't as glamorous as it is in the movies. He lives alone in a relatively small apartment. Most nights, he doesn't sleep well. He has nightmares. He sees every face he sent a bullet through every time he closes his eyes. So, to make himself feel better, he watches his comfort movies with a bowl of microwaved SpaghettiOs. He's been through his DVD collection 1,000 times. None of it has the punch it used to. But he's still got a working VCR, so there's no harm in fishing through the old pile of VHS tapes he keeps in his closet. That's where he finds his well-worn childhood copy of Forrest Gump. It used to be his mom's favorite movie. Perhaps it'll help him sleep tonight. He slots the VHS into the VCR. All the memories are flooding back to him now. He watched this movie so many times as a kid. It's a miracle that he didn't entirely wear the tape out. He's ready to lose himself in the film as he watches Forrest in his white suit sitting on that iconic park bench. The hitman smiles, ready to speak along to the movie's most famous line, "Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get." But when Forrest says the line, it's "Life was like a box of chocolates." Was. How strange. He doesn't remember the line being like that. It's "Life is like a box of chocolates," not "Life was," right? You wouldn't think such a tiny misquote would bother a man who kills people for the mafia for a living, but it does. This mistake feels so oddly pivotal to his understanding of the film, and therefore, to his understanding of himself. It feels like having a bucket of cold water poured out onto his head. He watches the rest of the movie, but something is off. He feels almost like Forrest Gump himself knows he's been watching. And scarier still, he's watching back. What happened to this nostalgic childhood classic?
The fuck?
Over the next week, as he executes more deadbeats and poor unfortunate souls on behalf of his shadowy bosses, he just can't stop thinking about that line. Life was like a box of chocolates. There's something wrong about it, something so terribly wrong. How can he shoot a man dead without losing his appetite?
Why?
Thinking about Forrest
What
Gump
the fuck
is
happened?
making his hands shake.
Who fucked my VHS
He watches the movie
tape?
every night. Some nights, he watches it more than once, instead of sleeping or showering. Every time he watches it, it feels just a little more uncanny. This movie used to fill him with joy and hope. It made him see the beauty in the world. But now he sees the darkness hiding underneath the surface. Every time he watches, he feels a growing suspicion towards the Forrest Gump character. Every so often, Forrest looks directly at the camera, staring out at the hitman, and smiling.
What the hell?
The hitman is sleeping even less now. He gets this feeling that something terrible is going to happen. It's funny. Normally he's the terrible thing that happens to people. A few nights later, he's in the forest again, with another pleading victim on his knees in front of him. They all blur together eventually, but tonight, something is different. There's a certain chill in the air. The gun feels a little heavier in his hand. He presses the suppressed Beretta against the back of his victim's head and prepares to pull the trigger when he hears a twig snap. The hitman looks up, worried, and sees someone else standing in the forest, peeking out from behind a tree. A witness, but not just any witness. A familiar face. Is that? No, it can't be. Is that
Forrest Gump?
Before he can orient himself, his victim gets up and runs for it. The hitman is snapped free of his stupor, and Forrest Gump is gone. In a blind panic, he runs after the victim fleeing through the forest. He draws a bead on the victim's back and fires, sending a bullet through him and dropping him to the ground. He catches up shortly after that and finishes him off.
Ooh.
He finished the job, but he can't shake the terrified feeling of what happened. He could swear he saw Forrest Gump in the forest, watching him. And that can only mean one of two things. Either he's being stalked, or he's losing his mind entirely. His obsession with the film gets worse after that. He'll spend whole days just watching it again and again, back to back, trying to find the secrets that must be buried somewhere within. Sadly for him, all he finds each time is more dread. He comes to believe that the movie is truly evil, that it contains some kind of entity that is more than human, more cruel, more terrible, and more powerful. Could this have been what he saw in the woods? At night, he hears noises. footsteps in the hallway outside the apartment, and then outside his bedroom. Once upon a time, he would have worried that he's been monitored by the city's police or agents from the FBI. Now, he's worried that he's being watched by something different altogether. He starts sleeping with his gun under his pillow. It's the only way he can feel anything close to safe with that thing out there, looking for him, hunting him. But if it came for him, would bullets even be able to stop it? The hitman stops going to work. He doesn't feel safe outside his apartment anymore. His bosses are confused, perhaps even a little concerned, worried that maybe their best hired gun has gone federal. But no, he's gone insane. But that doesn't mean he isn't right. He rarely changes out of his pajamas. He's tired, jittery, filthy, with a scraggly beard growing out of his chin. All he does these days is rewatch the movie. He thinks that if he watches it enough, he'll find some way to stop this terrible feeling he's been going through. But maybe it's making it worse, deepening his obsession. In every scene, he can feel Forrest Gump watching him through the screen. He always gives an evil grin, the same one he sometimes sees through his bedroom window in the middle of the night. Life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. That's when he hears the door to his apartment open behind him. He grips his gun and rises to his feet. He can feel that a terrifying presence has entered the apartment. He needs to fight this thing, or he's going to die. He runs out into the hall of his apartment, ready to take on the threat head on. He wants to put a stop to the monster that has been making his life hell for all of these weeks. But the second he sees the figure standing in the shadows, he freezes up. It's him. It's the one and only Forrest Gump, wearing a terrifying evil smirk like a hungry predator. The hitman raises his gun and fires at the impossible intruder, but the bullets seem to have no effect.
Oh my
Gump
god.
lunges forward quickly and smashes the gun out of the hitman's hand with an effortless slap. All the hitman can do is turn and run, fleeing down the hallway into his bedroom and locking himself in. Bang, bang, bang. He can feel Gump smashing his fists against the door.
Oh, hell
The
no.
hitman covers his ears, huddles next to his bed, and cries. He's never been this terrified before, not even as a child. Then the door shatters into splinters.
Holy
and Gump,
shit.
full of fury, enters. In what could be his dying moments, the hitman's animal brain takes over. He turns and tries to run, but Gump is far too fast. He rushes up, grabs the hitman by
Holy
his shoulder
shit.
from behind, and forces him down onto his knees. The hitman can't move. Gump is holding him in place, iron-like. Gump clenches his spare fist, lifts it up, and brings it down onto the back of the hitman's head with monstrous force.
Damn.
He will be found dead later that day.
Holy shit.
Crime scene cameras flash, capturing the grisly scene in the hitman's former apartment. The hitman's body is rolled onto a gurney and covered with a white sheet, rolled out of his apartment before decay can set in and destroy potentially valuable evidence. The lead detective on the scene is baffled by this whole setup. He's been aware of the hitman and his gang ties for years, but this death doesn't look like your typical gangland hit. After all, he'd been brutally bludgeoned to death. If he'd been done in by his fellow gangsters, he probably would have just been shot.
Yeah, honestly.
There was no physical evidence of a forced entry or exit from the hitman's killer. Some of the hitman's neighbors had heard a handgun being discharged, but there is no blood from anyone other than the hitman on the scene. Just spent shell casings and a few bullet holes in the wall. Strange. Would an experienced hitman fire that many times and miss his target with every single shot? Whoever took him out must have been truly dangerous. The detective does what he can, searching through the hitman's possessions while the CSI team strips down the rooms, hoping to find the piece of telltale evidence that could implicate the hitman's mysterious killer. The detective can't help but notice how filthy the apartment is. It looks like it hasn't been cleaned in weeks, a sharp contrast to the hitman's history of sharp, clean murders. It's the apartment of a man who knew someone was coming for him. But who? The detective just can't seem to piece it together. But during the search, the detective happens upon something that catches his eye, an old VHS copy of Forrest Gump. How strange. Who has a working VCR these days? The detective looks closer and sees that the VHS and its case are covered in smeared, dirty fingerprints. He's been watching this, or at least handling it, a lot. Maybe it's some vector for secret messages between him and his employers. Perhaps it has some unknown meaning. Maybe some illicit crime has been recorded over the movie. He bags the VHS as evidence and takes it back to the precinct, where his men rustle up a VCR and organize an impromptu screening.
The detective is eager for a break in the case, but as the tape plays, it just seems to be Forrest Gump.
Oh, wow.
The detective is extremely confused. There doesn't seem to be anything wrong with the tape. Did the hitman just completely lose his mind by the time he was murdered? The detective's attention is jogged by one line, spoken by Forrest as he sits on the bench. Life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Wait, that's not the line. Wasn't the line, life is like a box of chocolates? Later that night, the detective is lying in bed, unable to sleep. Somehow, it isn't the mystery of the hitman's murder that's keeping him awake. It's that one strange, misremembered line from Forrest Gump. He just can't get it out of his head. The only thing that draws his attention away is the sound of footsteps outside in the middle of the night. The detective snaps to attention, grabs his service weapon from his bedside cabinet, and creeps downstairs. He steps out of his house and into his backyard, now completely alert. The yard is mostly bathed in darkness, save for the little island of light formed by his porch light. Still, he sees something moving in the dark and levels his gun. He calls out, saying he's with the police, that it would be an extremely bad idea to try anything. There's no response. In a panic, the detective flees back into his home. Maybe this has something to do with the hitman's murder. Perhaps the perpetrators are trying to intimidate him into dropping the investigation. He'd call backup, he'd get some kind of assistance. But what the detective doesn't know is that it's already too late. He hears a noise outside again and looks up to see a face pressed up against his window. It's Forrest Gump, grinning maniacally. He reels back his head and slams it into the glass, sending cracks crawling out into every direction. He slams again and again and again. Before the detective can even react, the window is shattered, and Forrest Gump is climbing into his home with a single-minded, murderous purpose. It all makes sense to the detective now, in a deranged sort of way. The hitman hadn't been attacked by a vengeful enemy, or taken out as a liability by his employers. He'd been murdered by Forrest Gump. And now, the detective is going to suffer the same fate.
Oh, Lord.
This peculiar little tale probably feels rather far-fetched to you, even by the standards of the entities and phenomena researched by the SCP Foundation. But we assure you that if you ever find yourself afflicted with SCP-5346, what was once a bizarre little case study could become a horrifying reality. Not a great deal is known about the mechanics of how exactly SCP-5346 operates, due to the rarity and obscurity of cases, but what we do know is that it affects people who view a certain scene in the beloved 1994 movie Forrest Gump, starring Tom Hanks as the titular lead character. The anomaly has a particular effect on those with an obsessive nature or people whose occupations involve needing to focus intensely on films, such as professional film critics. The scene in the film that appears to be the vector for infection is the one where Forrest is sitting on a park bench with a box of chocolates and opines that his mama always told him, "Life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get." The first sign of infection is that the person viewing the scene will immediately feel confused, believing the quote to be, "Life is like a box of chocolates," not "life was like a box of chocolates," as the character actually says. This is often thought to be a case of the Mandela effect, a common and harmless phenomenon where people report having false memories of prior events, such as misremembering a quote or believing a certain actor or public figure is dead when they're actually alive, or vice versa. However, if this incident is an actual moment of SCP-5346 infection, then the victim is in for a far more unpleasant experience. They will first report an obsessive desire to rewatch the film, watching it again and again, and each time noticing more inconsistencies between the film's reality and their memories of watching it. This will initially just seem strange, but as the condition progresses, it will take a turn for the unsettling. They will feel as though the Gump character is a malevolent force who's somehow watching them through the screen, displaying his own independent intelligence and a strong desire to harm the viewer. If the Foundation hasn't intercepted the case at this stage, it will get even worse. The victim will begin to see an individual with a remarkable resemblance to Forrest Gump, stalking them in the real world, getting closer and more threatening by the day. The victim will eventually be found dead of extreme blunt force trauma to the cranium. How exactly they receive this blunt force trauma is unknown. The Foundation's discovery of this particular anomalous phenomenon began with a small thread of posts on the infamous Parawatch forums, a website dedicated to conspiracy theorists and paranormal enthusiasts of all stripes.
The Foundation keeps a close eye on the Parawatch forums, as a number of anomalous cases have first been discovered through whisperings on its most strange and clandestine boards. The first post, from a user called Rage the Comic, real name Jackson Collins, detailed a peculiar experience. While quarantined in his home due to the 2020 viral pandemic, Jackson decided to re-watch Forrest Gump as a nostalgic favorite.
Fair enough.
That's when he noticed the cursed line discrepancy and decided to ask if others had the same sense of strangeness and confusion upon rewatching the film as an adult. The post quickly attracted the attention of some of the site's other users with mixed sympathy and derision. Jackson had clearly awoken something. Other forumites reported a similar sense of unease when revisiting the movie, sensing some kind of malice coming from the Forrest Gump character.
Yeah.
But nobody was feeling this more than Jackson himself, the possible patient zero of the phenomenon.
Yeah.
His severe paranoia increased, curdling into a dangerous obsession with the film, completely consistent with other people infected by the SCP-5346 phenomenon. This is the point where the Gump entity seemingly crossed the threshold, entering the physical world and stalking Jackson, appearing in his dreams and allegedly even staring through his windows, each time bearing a horrifying, satisfied grin.
Crazy.
He continued posting about his journey on the forum as the SCP-5346 stalking situation escalated to a fever pitch. Jackson wouldn't actually make any further posts on the Parawatch forum after that. He seemed, for all intents and purposes, to have fallen off the map. Foundation agents who had been closely monitoring the situation decided to investigate, and when they were eventually able to find Jackson's home, they discovered that he had been dead for weeks. The cause of death was the same blunt force trauma to the cranium of all the other victims of SCP-5346. When the agents confiscated Jackson's phone, they also found a message in his drafts that he had clearly intended to post to the Parawatch forums before he had been killed. It read, "I'm not crazy. I know I'm not. This thing is definitely onto me. I'm currently hiding in a closet, forcing myself not to burst into tears. I hear it walking around my hallways. It lingers, constantly surrounding me at all times. This thing is not Gump. Hell, it's not even human. It's hungry. Whether it be for revenge or blood, I'm not exactly sure, but that doesn't matter now. I've called the police, but they won't be here in time to save me.
Damn.
Nor would they believe me if I told them about the monster that was hunting me down. I want to scream so badly, but I'm too terrified to throw away my life that quickly. Please, do not fall down the rabbit hole. Save yourself, or it'll come for you too."
Oh.
Rage the Comic, signing out. Those same agents also found a note in Jackson's home, handwritten, that said, "Mama always said to stand up to snitches." SCP-5346 is currently classified as uncontained because the sheer rarity of instances have made attempts to capture any kind of physical entity relating to 5346 a waste of Foundation resources. Instead, containment efforts on this anomaly are focused on finding and suppressing posts like the ones shown in this video, and getting to any affected individuals before SCP-5346 can cause them physical harm.
Hey, nigga, we
To do
heard
your
you
part
heard
in
that
helping the Foundation
nigga.
contain
You didn't hear
SCP-5346,
that.
exercise caution when
Listen to
obsessing
this
over
little
nostalgic
device.
films, because like a certain container
gonna hurt
full
your
of
eyes a little
confectionaries,
bit.
you never know what you're going to get.
Introducing Tamagotchi. Are your parents super lame and refusing to buy you a pet? Well, eat my shorts, Mom and Dad. With the all-new Tamagotchi, you can have the best pet you could ever ask for.
This nigga. Oh yeah.
Living in the digisphere in your pocket. With 3 simple buttons and a chain to hang your key rings on, you can make your Tamagotchi your own. Care for it day and night, watch them sleep, play bodacious games, and make sure you keep an eye out for if they need to go to the toilet. P.U. Throw it in your backpack and take it to school. Just don't let your teacher catch you. Oh snap! Tamagotchis are da bomb. Bet you really want to go and buy one now, don't you?
The detective throws her bag onto the couch. She wanted nothing more than to have thrown it off as soon as she walked through the door, but if anything in it broke, she'd be screwed. They don't have the money for rent at the moment, can't be adding additional costs onto that. Her boyfriend barely glances up at her from the couch, still wearing the same blue t-shirt he'd worn to bed last night and with a packet of Doritos next to him. It's pretty obvious how he spent his day.
Really?
The TV switches to another commercial. She taps him gently on the shoulder, offering him a warm smile. He jumps a little, seeming to come out of a little reverie. Affection fills his eyes as soon as he sets them on her. He hastily brushes Doritos dust off his hands and holds them up, tapping out words in sign language. Sorry, I zoned out. How was your day? The detective sinks into her usual spot on the couch and snuggles up next to him, nuzzling her head into his neck. After a quick hug, she untangles her hands and signs her reply. Long. He kisses her on her forehead. She goes on to tell him all about the case she's been working on. It's more of a hunch at this point than a case, really. There's been a big spree of shopliftings, burglaries, and muggings over the last couple of months. A significant uptick from this time last year, but everyone is at a loss to figure out why. She's having to spend a lot more on gas driving around to break-ins at the moment. Her boyfriend watches her hands recount the events with a tender look of concern on his face. Don't worry, she signs. I'll make sure they reimburse me for the gas. He nods and seems to relax a little. She hesitates before signing the next bit. Did you do any job applications today? Her boyfriend sighs and shakes his head. He looks ready to be told off, but instead, she gives him a big cuddle. Something in him seems to break, and after a moment, she can feel him shaking in her arms. Even though she can't hear him, the detective knows her boyfriend well enough to know that he is crying. She pulls away from him and makes firm, reassuring eye contact with him before signing, It's okay. We can do the next one together if that would be easier. And so the two of them do that. They cook dinner together, her boyfriend
Hell
listening to the
yeah!
radio
You see,
while
that's
she
how you
enjoys the
do
feeling of
things. You work together. You never fucking do one-sided shit.
bass in her
You just
chest.
Try to do shit on
Then,
your own.
once everything is washed up and the apartment is dark and cozy,
Only for
they sit down at their
surprises.
kitchen
Do
table and handwrite a cover
Only
letter.
surprises.
They would have typed it up on their Macintosh, but they'd sold that and their printer
Well,
a
even
few
then,
months
you
ago
do
to
that
cover
with
their
friends.
utility bills. But handwriting is okay too. Her boyfriend had been working at Dell when they met. 1993, the height of the dot-com boom, when any kid with a math degree and a keyboard could shoot up the ladders in tech giants across the country. 2 years later, that bubble burst, and he'd lost his job. Fiercely smart and incredibly kind, her boyfriend hadn't been able to find work for around 13 months now. Every day, the detective's heart broke a little more to see how low his confidence was dipping. He was an amazing person, by far the most exceptional guy she'd ever met and ever would meet. And yet the constant rejection letters, failed interviews, and lack of options had steadily worn him down to a delicate and exhausted ghost of himself. But that only makes her want to love and support him even more. He scrawls a signature at the bottom of the cover letter, and they carefully fold it, along with his resume, and slide them both into an envelope. She cuddles him from behind and gives him a gross wet kiss on his cheek, enough to make him giggle. There, at least he's got one happy moment from today. He turns to her and grins, raising his hands to talk to her. I might buy a Tamagotchi. A what? The commercial on TV. It was playing when you got home. I really want one. Can I buy one?
What?
A little twinge pulls at her heart. She really ought to say no. Money is so tight at the moment with them both relying on her income. And it's hard to... what is she saying? He's clearly going through a lot right now, and maybe something fun would be good for him. Even if it does just look like some silly kid's toy from Japan. She raises her hands.
What's going on now? Because this game is broken. How so? A pokey radar? Why do I gotta spawn in one? Why could I, Can't crash. Some event, though, on the wiki show. So I can't find a split decision also. Yeah, here, I'll do that for you. Yeah, and you can do it. Go ahead. You got it? Wait a while. You just need a pokey radar, right? Just put yourself in creative and give it to yourself. Shouldn't take that long. Because I'm about to have to go. Like, soon. Exactly. Really had every other gem but an electric gem. That's crazy. Hee. All right, you about done yet? What do you want? Hi. This is gonna have to wait till next time. I gotta go. I have to go take a shower and then I gotta go to work. But I mean, maybe I'll probably live again in like probably 7 or 8 hours. But I don't know if any of y'all gonna be there. But if y'all, I'm just letting y'all know if y'all will be. Y'all have a good one. All right. I gotta make this fucking bread.